I don't get it.
Right? He's right above. See what I did? I took Albert's It's been so long since we've done a man of the match.
You screwed it up completely.
Well, and ironically, they both had 5 on the season, so I was like, right, he's getting a 6. That makes sense.
All right, well, now he has to get
Got to print a new picture of Albert Suarez, which is fine because these were too big.
Well, I have to do the same size.
Griffin apparently knew that the Orioles were going to fall apart this season and said, we don't need all this room for there to be more guys up on the board. They're not going to win that many games.
That board looks awfully small when you think back to what our expectations
What it could have been? Yeah. Oh, I was very concerned about how we were going to get everybody up on the board.
Yeah, because you
stop winning games.
So next year we could either shrink the board or are we going to expand
Well,
the
Arias
board?
should have been on there, but Glenn sniped him a couple times. Like,
sure, that's what.
You don't like Arias, we know that.
What? Good morning, Clark Radio. I'm Glenn.
That's what makes this show great.
Stan's here. Good morning, Stan. How are you?
Good morning, Glenn and Griffin.
I'm going to actually make Anthony Santander the man of the match. Again, you might remember man of the match. It was a segment we used to do when the Orioles used to win baseball games. And then we kind of canceled it. We said, well, we're no longer going to count on that. We're not going to put sponsor dollars towards that thing. And then the Orioles won a baseball game. Yeah. So we have that going for us. Of course, nice.
I missed the home run.
Oh, right, because
left the game.
Stan left.
We had a 5 o'clock appointment to do the pick segment.
Well, you know what that means, sir?
What's that?
You can't go to games anymore. I'm so sorry to be the one to have to tell you. But that's what we learned from that situation. Is you're no longer allowed to go.
Actually,
to the games.
I stayed just long enough for Soto to come in, who I was frankly shocked didn't come in to start the 9th inning. To be honest with you, I'm kind of over Sir Anthony Dominguez as the closer of this team. I almost wanted to bring back Craig Kimbrell.
Well, I got bad news for you there.
But that's not happening.
Bad news there.
But. Seriously, I stayed. I said, let me hang in here to see how Soto does. And he got the 1-pitch double play by Mark Canha. You know, Mark Canha was a Rule 5 guy picked up by the A's from, I believe, the Brewers organization.
Okay.
The same year that we got Ryan
Flaherty?
Flaherty.
Has Mark Canha really been around that long?
Yeah.
Jesus.
It could have been the year we got Santander. But it was one of those two, the same year that we – and Canha's been – he was a solid major league player.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
All right, we got a lot to do on the program today. Coming up in a few minutes, we're going to talk to former NFL GM Jeff Diamond. He'll tell us how panicked Ravens fans should be about the 0-2 start as they get ready for a matchup with the Cowboys on Sunday. Speaking of which – later on this hour, PressBox Ravens beat writer Bo Smolka will join us. We will talk about that matchup with the Cowboys. And then coming up in the 11 a.m. hour, our friend Ryan Spilborghs.
The Spilly Goat?
That's correct. You hear him on SiriusXM. He will be on the call tonight on AppleTV Plus for the opener of the Orioles-Tigers series, with the Tigers now trying to figure out if they can be the number 1 wild card team and host a wild card series. So the Orioles still have to stave that off. They are 3 games up on the Royals currently to be the number 1 wild card team and host the wild card series. They would need an unforeseen miracle to somehow still have a conversation in the AL East at this point. But
they do have the 3 games against the Yankees.
But it would require them to sweep that series and still
pick up a game.
Yep.
Yeah. Who would win in the event of a tie? Who would be?
If the series were to go that way, then the Orioles would. The Orioles would have clinched.
Is that the decider?
The decider is the season record.
Series, and we have between the two. We have it, right?
Yes. So particularly, I don't remember what the
Orioles are 6 if we
3
swept.
Games.
Yeah. They're 6-4 against the Yankees.
So in that
if we won the 3 games, obviously we.
Yes, if they won the series in any fashion. Actually, if they did anything but get swept, they would have the. But the problem is they couldn't get back into a tie without doing anything other than sweeping the series. So
and that would decide who is the
AL
the number
East
1, right?
Yes, correct. That would decide who won the AL East in that situation. But it still seems very.
We don't have to worry about that.
Griffin,
Doubtful.
you know what isn't unlikely is the chance of people making money this year at live casino and hotel.
That is correct, because every time that Baltimore or Washington's football team score a touchdown during home games, Live Rewards members are going to be receiving $7 in free slot play. You must have your Live Rewards card inserted correctly into the slot machine and be actively playing on said slot machine to get your prize. But once Baltimore or Washington score, you will get that slot play, $7 in free slot play.
Since they added to the copy that put the card in correctly,
Correct.
is it difficult to put it in correctly?
No, it's not.
Okay.
But
if you're nervous,
yeah.
you call Griffin,
Exactly.
schedule an appointment, and he will go down with you.
We're going to give his phone number out on the air.
I tell you what you do. You email. I don't think we have a PressBox email for Griffin.
I do have it's producer at PressBoxOnline.
Producer at PressBoxOnline.com. Email that, and Griffin.
So now that's part of his job, is to monitor his emails
100%.
on Sunday.
If there is. Now, look, this is not a good week because neither Baltimore nor Washington is at home this particular week. But it might be a good week for you to practice.
Mm-hmm. We can practice. We can certainly practice.
And Griffin is a master inserter. He's taken the classes.
Yeah, they say that.
Yeah, that's what they say.
They do say
Do you
that.
need to finish?
Yeah, you got to put your thing in correctly. You get the money. $7 free slot play. This is all at Arundel Mills. You must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help is at mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Stan, anything in particular that you want to say about yesterday? I feel like every time the Orioles win a game now, we have this feeling we're like, hey, maybe this could be the one that gets them going, and none of them have been the one that get them going.
Yeah, the most promising things in that game to me were that Rutschman got a big hit,
Jackson
Holiday got a big hit and had a couple other really good at bats, and played kind of a flawless second base too. He made a couple good defensive plays, and I thought that Soto coming in and I think it was one pitch got Marcana, induced him into a double play, and that's the one thing I'd say right now. Is if I've got a one-run lead going into the ninth inning, the guy I want pitching on the mound right now is Gregory Soto.
I certainly understand that in particular because of the home runs. Yesterday was a different story, right? Because Dominguez hadn't been that was a Kimbrel act yesterday, putting the first two runners of the inning on base.
Well, maybe he did it in honor.
I actually suggested that on Twitter. That it was kind of sweet that they. What happened in right center field, that's kind of goofy. It was the win was really because it really is hard to fault Cedric Mullins on simply catching a baseball that he's right there for. It just kept blowing away from him, and then I saw it. I kind of saw the accident about to happen, and I said, oh, my God, this could be really bad. And they almost collided with their heads hitting one another, but luckily they didn't. It was just the force put Mullins down, face down, and onto that cinder, whatever that is. Yeah, the miracle really is that the way it worked out, they didn't end up giving up another run in that situation.
And you know, it's funny. I thought I saw the runner getting to third base, the other runner. And I even turned I was sitting next to Dan Connolly yesterday, and I said, didn't that guy get to third base? And he said, no. Maybe it was the coach standing on there.
I actually think it was because it took so long for the initial runner to go that it deceived us into thinking, well, that has to be the second runner, when really that was the runner that had been on second base to begin with that was finally moving. Look, I hope that that's something that gets them going. Obviously, we still think there are reinforcements that can be coming at this point. The couple of guys making rehab assignments this week. If you want to have optimism, you can allow yourself to fall into that. They've still got to prove it. They have to win baseball games.
No question about it. No question about it.
And I think for a lot of people, until you see them win consecutive baseball games, there's still serious trepidation about having any amount of faith in this team going into the playoffs.
You know, if you really look for a positive, though, you know, it's great if you're a team that has, like the Phillies, where you have Zach Wheeler, Aaron Nola, and Ranger Suarez, like a 1-2-3 punch, because in a short series, that's pretty darn good. We got, with Burns and Eflin, we've got a 1-2 punch that can, frankly, keep us in ball games. So it's really going to come down, in my opinion, in a short series to whether our offense can generate something.
So anything at all. Anything at all. Had the game ended in the top of the ninth inning, again, it would have been a game in which they scored all of their runs in one inning.
Yeah.
And that's you don't want to be too critical about it, because even if they had won a game, just winning games right now is difficult, so take it. But that thought was running through my mind. What happened in the ninth inning was made possible because after they finally break through and have a big inning, they went utterly silent.
Yeah.
Jackson Holliday didn't come to the plate again until the seventh inning.
I remember when I used to park cars in Atlantic City back in the 70s. I was about 19, 20, 21 in Atlantic City. That was my summer job.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
The way that you said it made it sound like I was doing it in 1920 and 1921.
Oh, no. Okay.
Which
I
can have
misspoke if it came across that way. I was like 19 to 21 years old.
Right.
And I parked cars every summer up in Atlantic City, and I had my late Uncle Lester let me live at his home in Margate, New Jersey.
Yes.
And it was very nice of him, and I'll tell you a funny story off the air about that. But a gambler up there, a really smart gambler, told me that more games than not, the winning team scores more runs than the losing team in one inning in the game.
Okay.
So if you look at a lot of box scores, if you just randomly pick a 20-day period and glean, you'll see that really is true.
I can understand, the thought is, hey, everything, all the shockers fell into line in that inning, right?
Yeah.
You had a pitcher on the hook, you took advantage of whatever it was. Still, it's part of the problem right now is that they just, here's the one inning.
Yep.
You get two big hits, that's great, and then you kind of defaulted right back into being what we have seen for a little while after that. And thankfully, Anthony Santander rescues them in the ninth inning, thankfully, by the skin of his teeth, by about 4 inches that ball gets out, and that's fine. They all count the same way. And I think I saw that would have been a home run in 28 out of 30 parks.
Really?
Which is wild because, again, it barely got out of this one.
Yeah.
I think it's just San Francisco, obviously, with McCovey Cove. I don't remember which the other one was that it wouldn't have gotten out of. But they got it. That's what it is. And now they see if this can be the weekend where things start falling into place again. And we'll just keep wondering.
Yeah, Kansas City and San Francisco. The only
Kansas
two.
City is
they host the same team that we just played, Kansas City.
Well, no, he's saying that's the other ballpark where it wouldn't have been a home run.
Yeah,
the two ballparks where it wouldn't have been a home run were Kansas City and San Francisco. And that, again, surprised me because the ball barely got out.
Isn't it ironic that they square off in Kansas City?
How about that? Yeah, is it Kansas City plays their final 3 series of the season all against National League teams? Which is
right?
It's a really weird bit that I saw floating around yesterday. I'll double check it just to make sure.
I'll pull it up here.
This is me trusting the internet, which is always dangerous, but that's what I saw.
I know the Yankees have Pittsburgh.
They have Oakland this weekend, the Orioles, and then Pittsburgh the final weekend. The Yankees.
Who has Oakland this weekend?
The Yankees.
Oh, okay.
The Royals are Giants,
Oakland.
Nationals, and Braves. They finished the season with 9 games against National League opponents, which is really weird, right?
It's interesting to get the Nationals, who are playing horribly,
right?
But they play the Braves, who are every bit as hot as anybody.
Right in the mix. There's a lot going on there, so I don't know what to make.
I think we are about to enter, and that's one of the things that gives the Orioles a little more than a puncher's chance. I think this is such a wide open playoffs this year. I mean, I wonder what the gambling houses are saying about that, because to me it is really, I could see any of the 12 teams.
So for a little while I know that the Astros had kind of been solidified as the AL favorite.
Right. But they're not playing great baseball.
Oh, no, I'm not trying
right
to
now.
suggest. The Yankees have now defaulted back to being the AL favorite.
Yeah.
Right now, according to FanDuel, the Yankees plus 180 to win the AL. The Astros plus 350. Guardians plus 440. Orioles plus 450.
Okay.
And then everybody else. I'll tell you, that's the weird part to me is the Orioles are plus 450, and then the Royals are only 12 to 1.
Right. What are the Dodgers right now to win
the
World
NL or to win the World
win
Series?
the World
Yeah,
Series.
to win the World Series, the Dodgers are the favorites at plus 310. Dodgers plus 310, Phillies plus 450, Yankees plus 450, Astros plus 750, Orioles plus 950.
I sit
I have
here
no idea.
and maybe their offense is so good with that we'll get into talking about that game that Ohtani had yesterday.
What happened? I don't understand. What
Yeah.
happened? What?
It's nothing.
Who?
Nothing, yeah. It's Shohei. Shohei.
Not familiar.
But seriously, I've never recalled going into a playoffs, and we're 2 weeks away from it, 10 days away from it, where I can't tell you who the Dodgers' rotation is.
Yeah, okay. I mean,
they got Yamamoto
right.
back.
That's fair.
Then they got Flaherty, or is he hurt now?
I thought he was pitching.
Okay.
I thought he was pitching.
Obviously, when they played the Orioles, he was pitching. I don't know what
he
he's
was
done since
pitching,
then.
But Kershaw, I don't know anything about. Bobby Miller is
Yeah,
healthy.
I think he just got. Didn't he just get optioned, Bobby Miller?
All right.
I'm not sure.
I mean,
I'm
yeah,
not
but
sure.
yeah,
I'll
that
be
to your
honest with
point.
you.
To your point. Flaherty's healthy. Flaherty's
The
healthy.
Dodgers scheduled starters
Right.
for the next 6 days.
Okay.
6 days, because they have a 6-man rotation.
Let me
apparently.
guess them.
Yep.
Okay. Yamamoto is one of them.
Yamamoto is scheduled to start Sunday.
Okay. Bueller.
Is scheduled to start tomorrow.
Okay. Boy, that's exciting to have the first game of the World Series, Walker Bueller pitching.
There you go.
I'm going to guess, even though Griffin guessed he might be in the minors, Bobby Miller?
No.
Okay. Kershaw?
Yes.
He's
Kershaw
coming back.
is scheduled to start next Thursday.
Okay. Boy, that's exciting, too.
This is, of
'cause
course,
he's such a great World Series performer.
He does have a track record.
Yeah.
This is according to Roster Resource, by the way. This is not in
Okay, I
stone
understand.
or anything like that.
I honestly cannot.
Well, you said
Paxton
one already.
is
no, you
Paxton's
said one
going.
already.
I said
Ohtani?
Yamamoto.
You said Flaherty.
Flaherty. Okay.
Flaherty is scheduled to start next Wednesday.
Okay, so Flaherty,
4.
Yamamoto, Bueller, and Kershaw.
Yes.
And I can't. And there's 6 guys.
Yes, there's
I don't
6.
know. Gavin Stone, is he still? No, he's hurt.
Fernando Valenzuela.
There you go. There you go. Actually,
And
it's
Hideo
Sandy,
Nomo.
and Sandy Koufax.
Same.
Don
Is
Drysdale.
Earl
on
Hershiser
Tuesday.
Don
coming down?
Drysdale's dead.
Oh,
So I know it's
damn
not
it.
him.
Tonight, Justin Robleski.
Of course.
Oh, jeez.
And,
Robbie.
next Tuesday, Landon Knack.
Oh, okay.
Scheduled to start for the Dodgers.
So Glasnow's hurt.
Is that Mrs. Knack's son?
Mrs. and Mr. Knax, yes, correct.
I'm not sure about
Oh,
the
not
father.
in the picture? Fair enough. Yeah, that Ohtani fella's decent, though. Yeah, I guess my answer would be that I would still look at the Dodgers and say I would default that they're the team that they have the best roster of all of the. I can understand why they are the default World Series favorite because they have the most in total on their roster.
And I guess they're saying that they've loaded up that bullpen
Yeah,
with like, 8 arms probably, 8 or 9, that they feel every day they can use 3 or 4 of them, you know.
I think that's the case.
Yeah.
I think that's the case. Kopech, Trinan, Phillips, the whole
Big Dan Hudson.
Yep.
Is Brusdar
Gratterall,
Gratterall's back?
Yep.
Boy. So that bullpen is going to be very, very taxed.
100%.
Because seriously, do you see Kershaw getting through
No.
5 innings?
But
in
I
a
don't.
game?
But I don't even think they're going to try. I don't think that's going to be part of the plan.
Yeah.
Really.
That's right. You don't really need 6. So Kershaw actually, it might make more sense to make him like a bulk
reliever.
guy, like a 3 1/3 inning guy.
Yeah, that would make some sense.
Especially if you start Bueller,
Sure. Piggyback him. Right.
piggyback the opposite arm.
Yep.
That
would make sense. All right, Stan is here. It is a.
I've got to go.
Oh, that was it. I thought you were supposed to be in Springfield today.
Oh, that's right.
I thought that
I
was the.
postponed that to next week.
All right, fair enough. I thought you were going to get to the bottom of that for us, or maybe you could get to the bottom of Nude Africa for us if you don't mind. Maybe you can find out what's going on over there. I asked for that assignment. I was told apparently we don't cover that type of stuff. A lot of weird things going on.
I
around
got
here.
behind. Seriously, I'm very liberal politically.
No.
Okay.
You?
Yeah, and I think this thing with the Haitians is just beyond reprehensible.
of
What's
course.
going on?
Yeah.
But I'm in the post office this morning, and I'm in a little bit of a hurry. And I walk in, and just before me is someone that I'm just guessing was a Haitian.
Okay.
And
Maybe you want to be
The
careful.
liberal Stan is standing there. I got one thing to just get a receipt for my wife's eBay thing.
Right.
This guy, he had to explain to the woman behind the counter, and it started, it was just me behind him. And then 8 minutes later, there's like 6 people. And he was literally...
If you're about to tell me this ended with you eating his dog, Stan, we're going to have a real problem.
He ends up buying stamps, and it appeared to be like the first time that he ever had stamps in his hand, and he had to put like about 10 of them on an envelope, and he's peeling the stamps.
Oh, at the yeah, okay. I get frustrated by that. I don't care who you are. I'm going to get frustrated by that.
I ate my arm.
Stan, you, Ross, and Luke definitely got together this week.
We got together. We
Yes.
did get together. We did not get together with Eric because it turns out he hadn't really accurately communicated his basketball coaching schedule.
That's
so he
it.
just
He's
assumed
gone.
we'd
He's
fit
out.
it in. So we are going to do our last show next Wednesday
All right.
at 1 o'clock, last show of the regular baseball season.
All right, and then Stan, Ross, and Luke still every Monday talking baseball with you. Facebook.com/PressBoxSports, YouTube.com/PressBoxOnline, or PressBoxOnline.com/video.
And real quick, I know we got a guest ready to go. Gary Stein is going to come back with me to do some Zooms, and we're trying to line up Kevin Rocklitz of the Ravens to talk about some of the changes that they've made at the stadium.
Very cool.
And that would be on a Tuesday in the next 2 weeks, hopefully. I might have an email from Kevin this morning.
All right. Let's talk some Ravens right now. They are 0-2 to start the season. How panicked should we be? Well, let's find out. Our next guest, of course, a former NFL general manager. You now see his analysis at the 33rd team. He is Jeff Diamond, and he's back with us now here on GCR. Jeff, it's Glenn in Baltimore. Stan Charles is in studio with me this morning. Always appreciate you taking the time for us.
Hey, happy to do it, guys.
Jeff, I'll just put it to you, scale of 1 to 10, right? How panicked would you be about the Baltimore Ravens 0-2 start?
Ooh, I would say about a 7.
Okay.
I think it's a big concern for a number of reasons. First of all, they're already 2 games behind the Steelers, and not that the Steelers are world beaters, but that defense is for real in Pittsburgh, only giving up 16 points in 2 games, and they of course have a big game with the Chargers on Sunday. But then so do the Ravens going to the Cowboys, and I think that's going to be a very interesting game after Dallas got waxed by New Orleans. So, but yeah, I would be concerned because they made so many changes this offseason, much of it's salary cap driven, as we know, and 3 new starters on the offensive line, and that group, they put up a few more yards last week, but it's still a concern about the consistency, and certainly in the opener to Kansas City, the offensive line was not very good, and Lamar was running for his life, had to run 16 times in that opener, which is not a good formula that John Harbaugh is looking for to keep his MVP quarterback healthy. And so now he ran much less against the Raiders, but again, he was getting pressured, and which can happen with Max Crosby coming. But I think it's not any major concern to lose to the Chiefs in the opener, the defending Super Bowl champs, 2-time defending Super Bowl champs. But when you drop your home opener to the Raiders, a team that you would think that the Ravens should beat at home, that's a concern. And especially the way it happened, more so even to the defense in week 2, when Gardner Minshew throws for 212 yards in the second half alone, after Mahomes passed for 291 in the opener, and the Ravens have several new starters on defense also. When you lose your best pass rusher, Jadeveon Clowney, you lose the NFL whatever number 2 in interceptions, Geno Stone, to your arch rival in Cincinnati, and they lose Patrick Queen to another big rival in Pittsburgh. So the Ravens had some work to do on defense to replace those guys. the offensive line, 3 new starters, and I just think it's a team that had a lot of changes in the offseason for a number 1 seed in the AFC last year.
Jeff, a question. I immediately go to that offensive line. If you were the general manager of the Ravens right now, I'm not asking who you would bring in to play for the Ravens, but clearly the loss of Joe D'Alessandro is absolutely huge, with his passing. Is it too late to be able to bring in another assistant that might be able to help? Because I guarantee you, they didn't draft Roger Rosengard without the thought that Joe would be able to coach him up to play in an NFL season.
Yeah, it's pretty difficult at this stage to be changing your coaching staff, and so I don't know where they're going to find someone that could be more in sync with those guys than the coach who's working with the players now. I think it's more about talent level, and about replacing all those starters. When you lose Kevin Zeitler, a Pro Bowler last year, Simpson and Moses, and you got inexperienced guys. Falele, I know him well from the University of Minnesota, and he's a big, strong, talented guy, but he's still relatively inexperienced at the professional level as a starter. Rosengarten is still a rookie second rounder, and he'll probably eventually at some point move ahead of Makari, but hasn't happened yet. And meanwhile, Lamar's looking around and thinking, "Whoa, I got pressure. I'm running too much in week 1, 16 times. I'm cut it back in week 2, and they put up some yards, but then the defense lets them down. So it's like John Harbaugh's got holes springing everywhere, and it's tough.
That's a good way to put it.
When you've got a fairly tough opening schedule, and the Raiders was the game that they thought they'd win in their home opener. They got to go to Dallas, who's got to be licking their wounds after New Orleans crushed them. Not that the Cowboys are any great shape right now. So I think it's a pretty even game potentially. Then they go to Cincinnati, which is really an important game with another rival that's also struggling at 0-2. So and then they go to Tampa Bay, and Tampa Bay is playing really well. Baker Mayfield is one of the hottest quarterbacks in the league.
You left out that Jeff. You left out that home game against Buffalo.
Yeah,
next week.
Nice easy one. Right.
Yeah,
that's right. I'm sorry. I'm
a chip shot.
Schedule now. They got Buffalo. They got Washington in there. So there are a couple games, but down the road, certainly road games at Tampa Bay and Cleveland are not going to be easy in October. So it's a challenging schedule in a division that I thought going into the season was the best division in the NFL. Now, it hasn't quite worked out that way early on with the Bengals and the Ravens struggling, but I still think it's certainly one of the best divisions in the league when they get everything going.
Jeff Diamond, former NFL general manager, the 33rd team, he's with us here on GCR. Jeff, a couple things to follow up on what you said, and I don't think it's a good thing that they're 0-2, but given all of their issues, they've still been right in both of these games. The first game determined by a toe, the second game in part by an egregious pass interference call in the end zone that should have been setting up the Raiders in 4th and long and instead gave them the ball on the 1-yard line. Given what their issues are, the relative inexperience of the offensive line, and a new defensive coordinator, as we remember Mike McDonald, who now everybody in Baltimore thinks should be bronzed, had a dreadful start to his tenure as defensive coordinator. Is it fair to think that those are things that, given the personnel, can be correctable and maybe would have been expected, and it might be just even more positive that they have been competing through those things?
Well, I'll say this. I think that the Ravens have one of the best front office setups. They've got one of the best coaching staffs as far as certainly John Harbaugh at the helm. Now they've had to change coordinators. We know that, and that's always problematic. And so, yeah, you would think that things could even out over time. But again, when you're replacing 7 starters off a team that was the number one seed. It's really difficult.
Yeah.
Now sometimes that can work, and I'm here in Minnesota. The Vikings have 10 new starters, but the pieces have fit together for the Vikings, especially on defense. And Sam Darnold is having a career revival, and so they're 2-0 and had a big win over San Francisco. So it's a strange game, a strange league. As you said, it's a game of inches and toes, and so yeah, things can turn around, but it's very challenging, and I think that for the Ravens, they just lost some really, really impactful players on defense and on that offensive line.
The other thing that really jumps out to me is I think that one of the reasons why a lot of people are telling me they're not around the league, they wouldn't be as concerned, is because they don't buy into the Steelers so much. And that, yes, the defense is good, there's no doubt, but the offense, which still hasn't scored a touchdown this season, is so limited that it's hard to imagine them running away with the division. That it's much better news for the Ravens that the Bengals are also 0-2, and that do you really buy into the idea that the Steelers can keep this up? That defense is so good that they can keep this up and they could pace this division this season.
Well, I don't think they're going to run away with it because I think the other teams are good enough to challenge them. But I think the Steelers are certainly playoff worthy with that defense, and I think Justin Fields is getting better. He's had a lot of big throws that have been called back on penalties, and I think that the Steelers are legit and have a very experienced, successful head coach who knows how to run a team and how to keep an even keel, and so yeah, I think they're legit. Are they going to win the division? I'm not saying they're going to win the division because I had actually picked Cincinnati before the season, and the Bengals are off to a rough start too. So it's just really, I think, challenging in that AFC North that is a very loaded division potentially when these teams are all playing at the highest level. And so yeah, I don't write off the Ravens at all because we've seen them rally the troops and be successful for so many years. But as I said, it's just been a lot of change for them.
I'm asking for a general manager's perspective on this topic, Jeff, because we don't know how to talk about it in Baltimore. It's very weird and very foreign to us. In the NFL this season, there have been 4 50-yard or more field goals that have been missed. Half of them have been missed by Justin Tucker, who's 1 for 7 on his last 7 50-plus yard field goals. We know he's Justin Tucker. We know his track record. We know everything he's done. We also know that we can't ignore this at this point. It's part of the story, and it's part of the story, ironically, at a time where 50-yard kicks appear to be quite commonplace, that it's a market inefficiency if your kicker isn't making his 50-yard kicks at the moment. So what do you do as in leadership in an organization? How long do we continue to say, hey, this is Justin Tucker, it's all going to, how much rope does someone have in a spot like this?
And I have a follow-up after Jeff answers this about Tucker. Go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, I think you're talking about probably a Hall of Fame kicker.
Agreed.
And I think you have to give him an opportunity to work through some of this stuff. Now he is, what is he, 35, 36 years old, and he's been around a long time. And so perhaps at some point, even the Adam Vinatieri's of the world kind of lose that leg strength.
The crazy part is he's still only actually 34. That's the crazy part about all of this.
Yeah, right. So yeah, you would think he's certainly got plenty more years. And I think also the 50-yard field goals tend to even out a little bit as the season goes on. It gets colder outside, a little tougher to make those kicks. But it's a little surprising, given his history, certainly, and the fact that other guys are making them around the league. But some of those are in indoor stadiums, too. Let's realize that when Fairburn of Houston makes 3 50-yarders, including a 59-yarder last week against the Bears, well, he's kicking in pretty pristine conditions, and then he goes up to Minnesota. He'll be kicking indoors this week, so it's a little easier for some of those guys.
Jeff, my follow-up to that question about Tucker is and Glenn, you kind of jump in on this. for 6 or 7 years, whenever the Ravens needed points, Justin Tucker went out there. And then John became enamored with the analytics that say to go for it. Is it possible that they've underutilized him, that now when he goes out to kick, there's a little bit more pressure in that, not the game situation, that he's not kicking as often?
Yeah, I think that it certainly could be a factor, and I think these coaches, as you said, tend to fall in love with the analytics, and although the numbers say in certain situations go for it, and can understand that too, so it's kind of that double-edged sword where you've got a potential weapon in one of the best kickers in the league potentially, and then if you're not utilizing him, although he seems like he got plenty of opportunities last week. He had 4 kicks and made 3 of them, so that's a pretty good percentage necessarily, but he missed that 50-yarder, as you said.
Yeah, and the tough part, again, being that it ends up being a 3-point game, and so you can't help but think about that when you get to the end.
Do you buy what I'm suggesting, Glenn, or you think
knowing Justin Tucker, no.
Okay.
I don't, but I get the theory, right?
Yeah.
Like, I understand the theory of it. I just don't buy that it actually has that type of impact on him. But I also can't I'm throwing out all sorts of theories at this point, right?
The one thing is they're not like the kick last week that he missed. It wasn't short.
No, it's not that he doesn't have the leg, right?
The leg is still there.
The accuracy's been an issue.
Yeah.
Jeff, you brought up just before we let you go, because you're up there, and I know you do a lot of content around it. Are you genuinely buying into this 2-game sample size, the Vikings, and particularly Sam Darnold, that this is really a renaissance, or still need to see a little bit more? A lot of guys have 2 really good games. Let's not be writing anything in stone just yet.
Well, I think the positive thing for Sam Darnold is that he's got the best supporting cast he's ever had around him in terms of a good offensive line, excellent skilled players led by Justin Jefferson, and he's been producing without T.J. Hawkinson, a Pro Bowl tight end who's still on IR for 2 more weeks, and Jordan Addison, his other starting wide receiver, was out last week, and Jefferson got hurt at the end of the game. And Darnold still completes 3 big third down passes to the number 3 and 4 receiver. So in that regard, I say, yeah, I'm starting to believe in Sam Darnold, and that Kevin O'Connell is a really good offensive coach, a former NFL quarterback. and he did the best work with Kirk Cousins of Kirk Cousins' career here in Minnesota. And O'Connell is working kind of similar magic with Darnold. It's very strange because when they drafted J.J. McCarthy, the assumption was McCarthy's going to take over. Darnold's just a bridge quarterback. Well, then obviously McCarthy hurts his knee. He's out for the season. Everybody up here thinks the season's over. And then Darnold gets them off to a 2-0 start, including knocking off the 49ers. So and the other part of the equation is that defense is really good. Brian Flores, I think, is one of the best coordinators in the league. He runs a very aggressive, unpredictable defense. They brought in several free agents that are producing in terms of Jonathan Grenard, Andrew Van Ginkel. They draft Dallas Turner in the first round. They've got Pat Jones, a former third-round pick, has 4 sacks. They signed Stephon Gilmore to solidify the secondary. So and Blake Cashman came from Houston. He's been playing great at inside linebacker. So they've hit on all these free agent pickups, which I think is something that the Ravens haven't necessarily done yet with the people that they've signed and the draft choices that they have to replace guys like Patrick Queen and Jadeveon Clowney. So that's where I think the Vikings, I think they are legit. Now, they're in an extremely tough division too. The Lions are struggling right now with Jared Goff, but they'll get it on track. They've got too many good players on offense and the best offensive line in the league. The Packers won without Jordan Love. They're going to be there. The Bears, Caleb Williams is a disaster right now, and the Bears, who we thought would be better, are really struggling on offense, but that defense is good. So the NFC North, like the AFC North, is a very talented division, and I thought those 2 divisions were the best in the league coming in. So to answer your question, I think the Vikings are legit. I think they'll be a playoff team. Whether they can beat out Detroit in the division and Green Bay, that remains to be seen. And yeah, you want to see a little more sample size from Darnold, and he'll get a good test this week from Houston that has an excellent defense and a couple of really good pass rushers, including an ex-Viking, Danielle Hunter, coming to town.
Yep, no doubt about it. At Jeff Diamond NFL is how you follow him on Twitter, and we're going to link up his surprises piece from the 33rd team this week on our Twitter account, at Glenn Clark Radio, which includes his thoughts on the Ravens, so you can check it out there. Jeff, really appreciate it, man.
Stuff,
Thank
Jeff.
you for hopping on with us this morning.
Hey, thanks, guys. Have a great weekend.
It's Jeff Diamond, former NFL GM.
Really solid guest.
Yeah, I always appreciate Jeff taking the time for us. And I will admit, I'm still going to say I'm skeptical about the Vikings. Like, that, I think a lot of times, because it's the evidence we have, we obsess over that evidence and make it this is reality. And I think there's a lot of times we look back and say, remember when that team was 2-0 to start the season? I'm not saying that it can't be real. I'm still in the.
I think a lot of it's going to depend upon Sam Darnold.
Yes.
And I'm always amazed.
And I also think some of it is teams and getting more on film and saying, hey, we got to take this guy seriously.
Yeah.
And then it becomes interesting to me as the league adjusts to you a little bit. It's sort of the way we talk about pitchers and hitters. Once the league sees a little bit more, how do they adjust to it, and then what does that mean for you?
And frankly, I had forgotten Brian Flores was their defensive coordinator. A guy like that can make all the difference in the world.
I think their defense is very good, yeah.
But, with Darnold, what's fascinating about him, and do we have Bo on the line?
No,
I didn't.
Not
okay.
Yet. Nope.
I didn't want to interrupt if we did.
You're good.
But Darnold, I'm always amazed at how some of these quarterbacks, you go, what a total 100% bust he is.
Mm-hmm.
And then 3 or 4 years later, the guy's gone through this gauntlet of playing for different teams and learning a little bit, and suddenly something clicks. And, I'm not saying it happens all the time, but it happens, and he
Geno Smith would be one that you would compare to, right? That's why everybody's having fun with the Jets, is because, you add another one that might be.
Yeah.
And similarly, people have brought this up with the Buccaneers, with Baker having success,
but you go way back to Jim Plunkett. He was kind of a bust early in his career.
Yeah. Okay. That's
there's
going back a
other
ways,
names,
right? I do think that it is less common in modern football because the era of the quarterback has risen so significantly.
Did you think when Baker Mayfield was let go by Cleveland, and who did he go to?
He went to Carolina first, and
Carolina,
I 100% believe that it was going to work for Baker Mayfield in Carolina.
Yeah, I did too. I thought when he went to L.A.
When it didn't work there, I was more inclined to say, all right, maybe it's just I was wrong about Baker.
But he's a good quarterback.
Yeah, I have more belief today in the Buccaneers than I do in the Vikings. Or more that I believe that this is real, that this isn't just Kyle Bowler had good 2-game sample sizes. We remember those primetime games against the Vikings. That end of the season when they played the Vikings and what was that, Christmas and the Packers on Monday Night Football.
Right.
He looked like John Unitas for 2 games, but it was 2 games.
It was 2 games.
That's all. I don't know yet if Sam Darnold is a really good quarterback or he's a really good quarterback for 2 games. I don't have that confidence yet to say that. He's looked really good. It certainly helps to have a Justin Jefferson to throw the football to. Yeah. To say, I'm just going to chuck it down there, and that guy will probably catch it and do something good with it afterwards.
He's going to play this week?
Jefferson?
Yeah.
That's the thought.
I thought I'd read something Sunday.
He said yesterday that he plans to play. That was were his words.
But what was his injury? Was it a knee injury?
Forget what I want to say. It might have been a hamstring. I'm just guessing.
Okay.
I literally
just
just
saw it.
it.
Like
I
the
forget
way
though.
I read the headline that he was going to be out for.
Addison, I think, is
Right.
he's not expected to play.
Okay.
I don't remember what it was either, but I never got the thought that it was there was confidence that he was going to miss some time.
Quadricep, so it's quad.
Okay.
It's quad for Jefferson.
Yeah, and he's practiced every day this week.
Okay.
So it seems certain that he's at least going to play. Don't know if there's.
Addison is dealing with an ankle. He didn't practice yesterday.
Yeah, he's not practiced this week. That's correct. All right. Hey, today's show is also brought to you by the Arthur Millette Show, which returns Tuesday, October 1st at the Green Turtle Sportsbook in Towson. Number 10 will be there. Reed and I will be there. He'll have a special guest, and we're just going to have a great time hanging out with you. We'll be doing it all season long.
Any chance Mr. Khan will be there?
No.
No.
No. Definitively not. Definitively not. We like Jeremy.
Okay.
That's the other part of it is
Glenn doesn't want him there.
No, I would love it. I don't think that would be the location. If Jeremy were to come out with us this year, I think it would be somewhere else.
Apologies.
All good. You didn't know. All good. But yes, we will be there at the Green Turtle in Towson. Come hang out with us. And you can find out more PressBoxOnline.com/Millette. It's all brought to you by Easy Pass as well as HelpMyGamblingProblem.org. I'm waiting for you. You're the producer of the show. You tell me.
Let's stay here.
Okay, I was padding for you to call him. I look over and Griffin. One day, I know we've only been working together for 3 years, but one day,
it's been 3 years
something
already?
like that.
Yeah.
One day, we're gonna get all this figured. We're gonna get on the same page.
Is that a marriage that's going to work, you think?
I got questions.
Are there
about
kids
it.
involved?
Oh boy, I don't know how we would split up like our past interns. I don't know who would get custody over all of them. I don't know what that would look like. We'd have to consider that in the divorce. Every Friday, we chat with our PressBox Ravens beat writer. He is Bo Smolka, and he is back with us now here on GCR. Bo, it's Glenn and Stan. It's always great to chat, man. Thank you for taking the time for us.
You bet. Good morning. How are you?
We're all right, Bo. I want you to help me because we were just talking about this with Jeff Diamond, and Stan was throwing out theories. I have struggled all week with how to talk like an adult about Justin Tucker, how to have a legitimate high-level conversation, because I do think that everybody that just says, oh, this is Justin Tucker, is being too flippant about it. I do. I think that ignoring it or pretending like it isn't an issue for a team that is struggling in the margins and there are 4 kicks in the entire NFL this season longer than 50 yards that have been missed. Half of them have been missed by Justin Tucker. He's won for his last 7, and even if you go beyond that, he's not even 50% since the dissolution of the Wolfpack, and that, I don't know, has been the best theory that I've been working with is the impact of that on Justin Tucker. How do we talk? Because I know the answer isn't he misses another kick this week, he's gone. I realize that. But at some point, it really is a market inefficiency if everyone else in the league is making long kicks except you.
I mean, it's just such a departure, right, from what they've been used to for years. But you said it right. I mean, they that's 6 points they left on the field, and they lost one game by 3. And both those kicks could have helped. One was from 56, but that's absolutely within his range. And in fact, the distance wasn't the issue.
Right.
They just both leaked left. The dissolution of the Wolfpack is a fair theory, because those guys did it together for a long time. And we're talking about Morgan Cox as the snapper and Sam Cook as the holder. And Justin Tucker calls it the operation. So the operation changed significantly. And maybe that's a factor. It seems when you watch them, it all looks clean. Everything looks okay. And it's interesting that both the misses this year have kind of had the same trajectory where they just kind of leak off just to the left a little bit. But it's a conversation, as Justin Tucker said, he doesn't really like having it, but he knows it's going to be had. And you're right. If he goes out there again and he misses again, they're not cutting him by any stretch. But I do think at some point it's got to be in his head. I mean, it just does. He's human, and I think the most important thing is that he goes out there and hits one of these. They're not going to not send him out there from 52 yards because out of fear they're worried he'll miss it. They have, Chris Horton said yesterday, we absolutely have all the confidence in the world in Justin Tucker. He has confidence in himself, which has never been a question. But I think at some point I think it could become mental, but it's something that how to have the conversation about it, I don't really know, other than if the situation comes up again, he'll be out there on the field again.
Bo, I threw out an idea to Jeff Diamond, and he didn't dismiss it. Glenn doesn't agree with my idea. I think that what happened here is that Justin has become underutilized, and where he used to routinely get 4 or 5 opportunities in games, sometimes it's 1 or 2 because of John falling in love with the analytics about 2.5 years ago. And it just sort of, he's not game sharp mentally. And now I think it's gone into being a little bit of a mental problem.
Well, I mean, there definitely are times when they've gone for it in field goal range, no question about it.
Yeah.
And I know one of them was against the Chiefs, where John said, and I agreed with him in that situation, where the theory being you're not going to beat the Chiefs with field goals. So I think it was a couple of years ago at Kansas City, they went on 4th and maybe 2 from the Chiefs' 9-yard line, and obviously that's a chip shot for Justin Tucker. But basically, John Harbaugh was saying, look, we're not going to beat the Chiefs with field goals. And I agree with him on that case. I mean, he has kicked a couple. He kicked one from, 32 yards this week. I think, in fact, he had 3 field goals, if I'm not mistaken, this past week. And the problem, honestly, is that if you listen to Monken says Lamar Jackson, they both say, well, we're kicking too many field goals. We're not getting the end zone. We're kicking too many field goals. So I don't know that it's a matter of him not having the work or the routine or whatever. I don't know what it is, but I do think, it could be something in the operation, and I do think maybe there's something mental to it at this point.
Bo, we'll move on from Justin Tucker because obviously the Ravens have bigger fish to fry. It's just a very perplexing conversation. Bigger fish to fry, I think, to me, starts up front. That's, to me, the single biggest story of the first 2 games is the offensive line, and we knew it was going to be an issue coming into the season. Bo, are they at the point where it's been so bad that no matter how much they say they like Daniel Faalele, like there really does just need to be change for change's sake? Or is it maybe not as bad as we think it is? What's your gut tell you about that?
Well, my gut tells me there's not going to be a change, at least to start the game. That's my sense. John Harbaugh continues to be pretty adamant that they like what they see from this group. He and Todd Monken have both talked about they're improving and the long-term potential for them all and all of that. And, John Harbaugh on Monday was asked specifically about Ben Cleveland. And he said, look, if Ben Cleveland was better than Daniel Faalele, he'd be playing. Ben Cleveland has not outplayed Daniel Faalele to be in there. And that was about as blunt as John Harbaugh is with a question like that. So I think John's kind of tired of being asked about it, but it's going to continue to come up. So my gut is they are not going to make change for change's sake. I think you could make the argument that you could try it. Patrick McCary, their super sub, who can play anywhere. I don't recall him seeing a lot of him in guard in the middle of this training camp, but he certainly played it before, and he's a guy you could put in there. Rosengarten, the rookie right tackle, I thought actually played well the second half of that game the other day, and he's coming on. So, but I think if it continues, I think there may be a reckoning where there needs to be a change. But I think as of now, they seem pretty determined to keep this group as it is and go with it. Obviously, it has to be better, but I don't see them making a change right now.
Would it be fair to say that there's going to need to be an earlier – I think that's the infuriating part about last week is why did it take so long to start chipping? Why did you really not think this was going to be an issue against Max Crosby? I guess what I'm nervous about, Bo, is that you just got Max Crosby and Devontae Adams to death a week ago. Couldn't you just get Micah Parsons and CeeDee Lamb to death this week? I would like to think that what happened – would genuinely, given the parallel, make them have a different game plan going into this week?
I mean, yeah, probably. And, they obviously were more effective running the ball in the second half of that game against the Raiders than they were in the first half. I think the running backs themselves had 8 yards on 9 carries or 9 yards on 8 carries or something in the first half. It was essentially nothing. And then in the second half, they got Derrick Henry moving, got him outside a few times. Notably, they got him outside to the left behind Ronnie Stanley and Patrick Ricard for a couple of his biggest runs. But you can't telegraph that too much, too, and so you want to be a little bit you want to keep them guessing a little bit, but they're going to have to be able to run the ball, and I think against this Cowboys defense, they're going to be able to.
Mm-hmm.
This is not complete. This is, other than Micah Parsons, it is not a defensive front like the Raiders had or the Chiefs had. So I think if the Ravens can't run the ball this week, then they have significant problems.
Yeah.
And so I think they're going to really, really try to establish the running game this week. And, yeah, you'll have to chip Parsons. I think they've figured out ways they can do that. But they're going to have to establish the run this week.
What's your early report card on Zach Orr?
It's interesting. I mean, my report card's probably like B- maybe. I mean, I thought they played pretty well, except for a couple really bad mistakes against the Chiefs. I didn't think they played particularly well against the Raiders. Guys were left open too much. And I think the biggest thing that I've seen so far from that defense is they just haven't gotten the impact plays from Kyle Hamilton or Roquan Smith yet. And I mean, Kyle Hamilton showed up on the injury report with a back injury this week. He's been limited, and he just didn't physically look right in that game. I don't know. He's been banged up on and off most of the summer. Remember, he had an elbow surgery over the spring, I believe, and then he got injured a bit at the Packers practice, and he had a practice here where he went down, and it looked pretty bad, but he was only out a day or two. But he hasn't physically looked right yet. But you would think him and Roquan Smith as the anchors of that defense are going to have a huge impact, and they really haven't yet. And then the secondary, which from day one in the summer, we talked about how good that secondary looks, but they've had issues. They've had blown assignments. They've had guys running free. They've had guys get open, and they let Gardner Minshew kind of attack them last week. And I know Devontae Adams is a really good player, but I think they will tell you that secondary has not played to the level they thought.
I think that's fair. I think that one of the questions, and I hate doing it because reminder that Kyle Hamilton's on the cover of the new print issue of PressBox, and you can go pick that up for free. It's a great cover story from Bo Smolka, but I think that it's twofold. Like, the utilization of Kyle Hamilton has not seemed to be the same as what we had seen in the last year. And then it's the question of just how hurt is Kyle Hamilton, who, after looking like he was playing through an injury on Sunday, we see show up on the injury report this week.
Yeah, I mean, I've said for a year that I thought they're a better team when he plays near the line of scrimmage as opposed to a deep safety. Now, I know on the long touchdown to the Chiefs, it was a blown coverage. Hamilton owned it and said, I missed the assignment. And he was actually near the line of scrimmage when he was supposed to drift back and be playing deep. He didn't. Worthy's wide open. They get the touchdown. I just think they're a better team when he's near the line of scrimmage. He can be physical, but there was a play in the flat last week that he just didn't wrap up the ball carrier, and that's something you almost never see from him. So that told me right there, like, something's not right physically there. But I do think they're a better team when he's in the slot and plays near the line of scrimmage. He can blow up those jet sweeps. He can blow up the bubble screens with his length and the way he can shed tight ends as blockers. But that hasn't quite looked right yet. And so this defense, Zach Orr is the second game. There's going to be some adjustment with him. Remember, there was with Mike McDonald as well. Mike McDonald had a couple disastrous games when he was at first as defensive coordinator. So I think they identify that. They're aware of that. But to me, getting Hamilton right physically is really important.
I completely agree about getting him right physically and utilizing him appropriately, I think, stands out. Bo, in the midst of an 0-2 start, can you give me like one or two particularly positive things that have stood out for you that maybe we're just not talking about nearly as much again because the team is sitting here 0-2?
Well, I think Odafe Owe would be one.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think that's a guy that has looked like they had hoped he would look. 2.5 sacks last week. He was probably one of the best players on the training camp field all summer. And everyone's kind of like, well, that's great, but let's see it show up in the game finally. And it has. I mean, he's been really disruptive. And so I think that's been a really positive development for this defense. 2.5 sacks against the Raiders. He'd never had 2 sacks in a game before. And he's just been consistently disruptive. So I think that's really, really positive. obviously saw what Isaiah Likely can do, but we saw what he could do last time. I still think they have to figure out ways to really pound those two tight ends together, because Andrews was kind of he didn't do much the first game when Likely took over. This past game, Likely didn't do so much, but Likely's a guy that is just so good when he gets the ball. I was thinking back that most of his touchdowns, including the one against the Chiefs, he doesn't catch that ball in the end zone. He catches the ball somewhere in the field of play and works his way to the end zone. He's really good after the catch. So, again, seeing him continue what he did at the end of last year is promising. I'll be honest, I think it's been really good to see Ronnie Stanley play at the level he's played. I know we've been maligning the offensive line, but this is the guy that didn't miss a practice the entire training camp. Now, I know I saw he missed one earlier this week, but I think he's been a plus relative to what he had been the last couple of years. So, but to me, so far through 2 games and 0-2 start, Odafe Oweh has really stood out.
I would say Travis Jones should be on your list as well. I think he's been excellent.
That's fair too.
Yeah.
Yep, that's fair too. He's another guy that really showed up in the summer. And that kid, it's not that easy to when you're a defensive lineman and you're not really hitting, but he is just an absolute beast inside. And I know Matabike has talked and others have talked about this is going to be Jones's year to break out, and it could easily be that. And if I remember right, he was the reason that Roquan Smith got the interception against the Chiefs, because Travis Jones was in Mahomes' face. But yeah, he's been very good so far.
I'm going to ask you one more question that I also asked Jeff Diamond, and that is, no criticism to the current offensive line coach, but of all the losses this team had, Joe D, his passing was really just awful for the football team, aside from personally to his family and friends. But is it too late to bring in sort of an older head that wouldn't take the job of O-line coach, but might be another voice there to coach some of these younger players up? Or is that something that would be addressed next year?
I mean, look, the timing of that, the whole thing is terrible.
Yeah.
And it left the team reeling, and so I think that was never going to be an easy situation.
Yeah.
For the rest of this year. And so I do think they'll reset and take a deep breath after the season, but John obviously thought this was the best way to do it. I think he's trying to make the best of a really awful situation. And it's for all of them. I mean, these guys love Joe D.
I know.
So it's a really, really tough thing for them to be caught in. And, and they have to move forward, and they're grieving throughout. And so bringing new coaches, it's got to be hard for the new coach too. When you think about it, someone else has to come in and be that guy and replace this beloved person who just died. And it's awful.
Yeah.
So I think it's a thing they'll probably readdress after the season. But at the time, they don't have the luxury of waiting around. They have to figure it out on the fly, and that's what John did. And I think they probably will reassess it after the season.
At B Smolka, as always, is how you follow him. And, of course, you can see his stuff at PressBoxOnline.com. And I'm serious, it is a great cover story about Kyle Hamilton, so go pick up the print issue of PressBox. Bo, appreciate you as always, man. Thank you for spending a couple of minutes with us this morning.
All right, you bet. Thanks. Take care.
Thanks, Bo.
When we come back in, we will spend a little bit of time talking about Shohei Ohtani and the unbelievable day that he had yesterday. And is this the greatest season in baseball history? We'll discuss that next. Stands here, Glenn Clark Radio.
At A.J. Michaels Heating and Cooling, you get maximum value for your investment. You'll save 50% in heating cost, get $6,000 in rebates, and a no-interest energy loan. That's value. Find us at ajmichaels.com. That's ajmichaels.com.
Experience the thrill of the Mars Maryland 5-Star at Fair Hill, presented by Brown Advisory, coming October 17th to the 20th. See the world's best equestrians compete in the sport of eventing, the ultimate test of horse and rider. Enjoy a weekend festival featuring locally sourced food at the Fresh Food Fest, a beer, wine, and spirits showcase, shopping, and fun for all ages. Check out the Maryland Corgi Cup, interactive kids corner, and more. It's the place to be in October. Visit MarylandFivestar.us for tickets.
Treat yourself and taste the Baltimore tradition that is the legendary Costas Inn. Hey, it's Stan the Fan Charles. For over 50 years, the Costas Inn has been a Baltimore original, dishing out their legendary fat, delicious, award-winning crab cakes and steamed crabs. It's crab season, so sit back and crack some crabs while watching the Birds pursue another divisional title on Costas' 15 TVs. On Monday night, the Costas Inn offers their half-pound jumbo lump crab cake with 2 sides for under $30. So head on down to the Costas Inn today at 4100 North Point Boulevard or visit them at costasin.com.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
The drug scene in Maryland is changing. Fentanyl and xylazine are being added to street drugs, and you may not even know it. Xylazine is not even intended for humans, and fentanyl is an opioid 50 times stronger than heroin and contributed to over 80% of overdose deaths in our state. Anyone who uses drugs, even occasionally, is at risk of overdose. To learn more, visit stopoverdose.maryland.gov or call or text 988.
The votes were all counted, and the results are official. Royal Farms was named #1 for food in the USA Today 10 Best poll, receiving more votes than any other convenience store chain in America. The next time you want to get some good food fast, doesn't it make sense to go to Royal Farms? Voted best in the USA and home of world-famous chicken. Real fresh, real fast, Royal Farms.
The latest edition of PressBox is available now. On the cover, Bo Smolka profiles Ravens star safety Kyle Hamilton, detailing his path from growing up the son of a basketball player to choosing football, being overlooked in the draft, and turning into a defensive unicorn as a playmaking Swiss Army knife in the NFL. Also inside, meet college football players from all of the area's D1 programs and some of the area's college soccer standouts as well. PressBox is available for free at over 500 locations throughout the region, including 60 Royal Farm stores. Or you can read the entire issue at PressBoxOnline.com, where you can also find great betting advice and the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps.
One of the things that's definitely wrong with this country is that this dude still has a job somehow, some way. Glenn Clark.
All right, back in here on GCR. Stan is with us on a Friday edition of the program. Ryan Spilborghs will join us in just a second before he calls Orioles-Tigers tonight. I need to tell you all about one of my favorite events on the calendar every year, Maritime Magic. The best annual benefit on the Baltimore waterfront is back. Celebrate and support the important work of the Living Classrooms Foundation. On Friday, October 4th from 6 to 10 p.m., enjoy delicious food, drinks, and live music by the Motet. Get your tickets right now, livingclassrooms.org/maritime-magic. So if somehow you missed it, and I don't know how you would have because it was all anybody was talking about on social yesterday, well, that and Nude Africa, but I don't think we're going to get into that today. Shohei Ohtani had quite the day. Quite the day. 6 for 6, 3 home runs, 10 RBI, 2 stolen bases to boot, because why not? And now with that, Shohei Ohtani joins the exclusive club of Shohei Ohtani in Major League Baseball's.
And who else?
And Shohei Ohtani in Major League Baseball's 50-50 club. And actually, it's the 51-51 club now for Shohei Ohtani.
And my money would be on him maybe making it
55,
a 55.
Yeah, I think 60's pushing it, but you know. Stan, with that being asked, the question has been posed a few times. Is this definitively the greatest offensive season in baseball history?
What's his RBI total for the season?
110 or something, I think. Maybe like 113.
Now, remember, he's hitting leadoff most of the time. So
that's
it's
weak.
That's weak. Actually, it's 120.
Oh, okay.
120.
Oh, he got 10 yesterday, I guess. So.
That is true. That's correct.
I think it's pretty fair to say.
The only issue I have with this is, and we talked about this a few years ago when they changed, I don't know how to talk about stolen bases now with the rules changes. because I don't know.
That's fair. I mean, that's fair.
I'm not trying to tell you there would have been more 50-50 seasons because it still seems very unlikely.
Yeah.
But I don't know how to compare 50 stolen bases in 2024 to 50 stolen bases or anything like that before the rules changed.
Let me pose you another couple questions, too. What's his on-base percentage?
376.
And what's his runs scored?
123.
123. I would still say that Barry Bonds is probably the greatest hitter we've still ever seen.
The greatest hitter. To me, it's the greatest single. What is the greatest?
Great single season.
What is the greatest single season in baseball history?
I'd still say Bonds' season.
The 73 home run season.
Yeah, the number of walks that he had that year, and still was able to hit, and how many RBIs he drove, and how many runs he scored. You know.
Do we have a ranking of WAR
yeah, that's a good rank.
And I guess some of that involves defense though, so I don't know if you could only find somehow we could only get offensive WAR taking out individual.
Well, his WAR defensively wouldn't count. Yeah, I mean there'd be nothing that added to his WAR for defense.
Right.
Yeah.
Shohei. Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, MLB.com actually thinks it's Bond's 2004 season, not the 73 home run season.
Which year?
That was the year that he walked 232 times.
That's the year
during
I'm
the course
thinking
of the
is
year.
The greatest year. And how many times did he strike out that year?
I would have to pull that up. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
He set the record for the greatest on base percentage in baseball history.
479 or
no,
something?
It was higher than
5
that.
something.
Oh, keep going.
What was
609?
Yeah,
was Barry Bonds on base percentage in 2004.
That to me is the greatest season ever.
45 home runs that year. Hit 362, 609 for a 1422 OPS.
And what was this? 230 walks.
232 walks, 41 strikeouts.
40.
Which is
and how many bases did he steal that year? 0?
Yeah, at that point in his career, he had gotten out of the
base
he actually stole 6. Believe it or not. But of course,
I'm going to take that season as the greatest season of all time.
So, this gets into the then how do you factor in steroids into the conversation? How do you, and I don't have the correct answer. For me,
is that the season that Buck walked him?
Yeah, with the bases loaded.
I
don't remember if it was that year, but that definitely did happen. 1,000%.
Has there ever been anybody that
didn't that one work for Buck? Didn't he get the next guy out and won the game?
Did.
I believe that was that it ended up being the correct decision. I don't know if it was Jeff Kent who was in the lineup after him. But I believe I remember correctly,
he
famously.
He brought Zach Britton in that game.
Well, yeah, that would have been a good idea. He should have done that.
Except they didn't have him.
Yeah, it certainly did not. Not in Arizona. I am. That's the only part of it I keep coming back to. It obviously, and to be fair, everyone else is playing by the same rules now, and no one else is putting up 50-50 seasons. So,
now, if he were pitching this year,
well,
and we're able to accomplish,
then my God, right? Then it would be maybe the greatest season in sports history, perhaps.
Yeah.
I just don't know how to view historically a 50 stolen base season because that's what stands out. That's the eye-popping part. We know it's in the conversation because no one else has ever done it before, right? So that's how we know it's in the conversation. But I just don't know how to view stolen bases now and who might have had 50 stolen base seasons had the rules been different and been what they are today. That's the part that I can't I'm not saying put an asterisk next to it or anything like that. It's just that in historical context, I don't know how to look at it because of that. But yes, the reflecting on a 609 on base percentage for Barry Bonds, God, I had forgotten about that entirely. It really is quite difficult to top that. The argument's been made by a few that it's still Joe DiMaggio the season he hit. I think that it's the streak, though. It's not like the season was good, but I think it's just the streak. He finished. Yeah, that was the same year. I didn't realize it was 40. That was the same year Ted Williams hit 406.
Yeah, last player to hit 400.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know that I could say it's definitive, but I think we all know exactly what we're watching, which is truly a generational,
it's ridiculous
phenomenon, the likes of which there was no way for us to know that we were going to be seeing when he arrived. We thought it was going to be cool, an anomaly.
We thought he'd be an amazing pitcher.
Yep.
And, and his pitching has been good, beyond good, but I wouldn't call him excellent. He's not a Koufax or anything like that, but he's a really good. Unfortunately, he chose the wrong team, also to demonstrate what he was capable.
That's the crazy thing, is that this is going to be his first postseason ever. Like
that is hard to believe.
It is nuts, right? And that really is nuts. Yeah, to this point, his most significant moment happened in a fake baseball tournament. That's
now there's one thing that mitigates against him, though. If you combine the 50-50, the 51-51, Barry Bonds, Babe Ruth, Ted Williams, you name them, they never had an interpreter that embezzled
That's a good point,
$17
right?
million.
So you're saying he had to overcome, and that makes this more impressive than the other players' seasons.
I'd say
everything he had to overcome.
It doesn't make him the brightest bulb in the
room. Think about all of the personal, hardship that he had to feel because of this, and yet he's been able to push it all aside and have a 50-50 season. I actually think that does clinch it. I think that makes it the singular greatest season in baseball history.
Nice to meet you, Mr. Chan. Welcome to be my interpreter. Here's my computer. Here's all my passcodes.
Yep. All right, when we come back in, we'll pose this to Ryan Spilborghs, and then we'll talk to him about Orioles-Tigers. That's next. It's Glenn Clark Radio. Brace yourselves for an unparalleled in-person betting experience at the Green Turtle Bet Park Sportsbook and Bars in Canton and Towson. Experience the thrill of live betting with Baltimore's only state-of-the-art Vegas viewing TV experience. Choose between our on-site tellers or the convenience of our self-bet kiosks to place your bets. Gather your betting buddies and head over to the Green Turtle Bet Park Sportsbooks today. Green Turtle Bet Park Sportsbooks in Towson and Canton. The ultimate destination for game day excitement, great food, and live in-person betting. Must be 21. Please play responsibly. Gambling problem? Go to mdgamblinghelp.org.
Hey Baltimore, it's number 10, Arthur Millette, and I'm hoping you'll slot us in all season long for the Arthur Millette Show. We'll be traveling around the region all season, giving you the chance to get to know me and my teammates. There will be some football talk and a lot more. You can watch this show live on PressBox's Facebook and YouTube pages and listen every Friday night on 105.7 The Fan. Find out more at PressBoxOnline.com/Millette. The Arthur Millette Show, the only show in town that's a work of art.
The next Arthur Millette Show is Tuesday, October 1st at the Green Turtle in Towson. It's brought to you by Easy Pass and 1-800-GAMBLER.
Whether your focus is luxury and comfort, convenience and technologically advanced connectivity, or sporty performance and aggressive styling, we've got the perfect Highlander for you. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Highlanders from your local Toyota dealer today.
If you're looking at your old boiler with a jaundiced eye, it's time to call A.J. Michaels. You'll save 50% of your energy, get a $600 rebate, and an 18-month no-interest energy loan. Find us at ajmichaels.com. That's ajmichaels.com.
The ultimate fan experience awaits you at Sports and Social Maryland. See how we're raising the sports bar with our massive 100-foot media wall featuring 40 HD TVs and a 47-foot big screen. Bet on your favorite teams and this year's biggest events at the FanDuel Sportsbook while enjoying your favorite beers and cocktails, plus our delicious takes on bar food classics. Visit Sports and Social at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland at Arundel Mills. Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
The drug scene in Maryland is changing. Fentanyl and xylazine are being added to street drugs, and you may not even know it. Xylazine is not even intended for humans, and fentanyl is an opioid 50 times stronger than heroin and contributed to over 80% of overdose deaths in our state. Anyone who uses drugs, even occasionally, is at risk of overdose. To learn more, visit stopoverdose.maryland.gov or call or text 988.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
Driving in Maryland? Did you know an Easy Pass from DriveEasyMD.com can save you time and money? Of course you did, because you are a thrifty driver. An antenna reads your EasyPass transponder and automatically deducts the toll from your EasyPass account. There, you just saved money with EasyPass, all without slowing or receiving a notice in the mail. Well done, thrifty driver, well done. Get your EasyPass at driveeasymd.com.
Contrary to what some people believe, I actually like this guy when he sleeps. Glenn Clark, talking sports.
Back in here on GCRs, continue along on a Friday edition of the program. CountySports.zone. CountySports.zone is the website for you to find the latest in high school sports news, information, scores, schedules, rankings, all of it. And it's not just for public schools or just for private schools. It covers everything, not just here in Central Maryland, but Western Maryland, Eastern Shore, down to the DMV, Southern Maryland. Every school, every team, every sport, all academic year long. CountySports.zone, proudly sponsored by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com. All right, I'm going to talk to Ryan Spilborghs here in a second. Stan, you know what? I'm going to end up in. Maybe I'm going to wait.
You need me to
a
leave?
second. No, I realized because I discovered something the other day. You were just talking about playing the grid today. How'd you do on your grid today?
I'm not finished yet, but
You're not?
had a great grid going until Ed Sprague.
That son of a bitch.
Yeah, not Ed Sprague, the old Ed Sprague, Ed Sprague Jr.
That's
4%.
A-hole. What would Kelly Gruber have gotten you?
Oh, I'm thinking he's like a 9 to 13%.
Now I'll find out. Kelly Gruber.
And again, it's only one game. It's not like who played.
Oh, you're right. 10%.
Yeah.
Look at that. That would have been the case. There's a new game that might prove to be your next addiction, and I'll tell you more about it before we get out of here today. It's been a bit of a problem for me. I regret introducing it to Griffin because I've lost him to that a few times this week. So we'll tell you more about that.
Remind me to tell you the story about Margate, New Jersey.
All right, fair enough. Orioles tonight. If you're flipping through Masson's, like, where is you're not going to find it there. Tonight's game is on AppleTV Plus, which means that our friend Ryan Spilborghs is back in town, and that gives us an excuse to bring him back on with us this morning.
I may stay home
just
going
so
to the
you
game
can
so I can
hear.
hear Spilly.
I do love Ryan Spilborghs. Of course, you hear on MLB Network Radio, and you'll see tonight. Ryan, it's Glenn and Stan in Baltimore. Always great to chat, man. Thank you for taking the time for us.
Thanks, Glenn and Stan. You don't have to stay home to listen to me. I like it better when we talk on the phone and you guys come to the game.
I may say hello to you tonight, though.
Yeah, you're the best, buddy. Ryan, is there still time for the Orioles to figure this out and be competitive? I think there has been a feeling in town this week of this maybe just being a fait accompli, that it's not going to happen for this team. Is there still time? Can they still get the right players back? Can yesterday prove to be the galvanizing moment for this team to figure it all out?
Yeah, of course. Look, I was on a team in 2007 with the Rockies where we had less than a 1% chance of making it to the postseason, and we made it to the World Series. Last year, I think if you have any sort of recency bias, do you remember what happened to the Texas Rangers last year? They were leading the division for over 70 days. They go limping into the postseason. Everybody thought it was the end of the world because they lost to the Houston Astros in the last game of the year in Seattle. And what did the Texas Rangers do? They go on this historic run, and they win a World Series. So I think there are times where, the sky's falling. The sky's not falling in Baltimore. I think what's happening is you're not 100% healthy. You also have some young players that are going to run into the natural first season wall, like a Colton Cowser, Jackson Holiday, some of these young guys that are getting chances. That's okay, because what happens is some of these young players, they'll catch their second breath, and you'll end up riding them through the postseason because they're feeling their energy. So I'm not worried. What I'm hoping for is I'd like to see Grayson Rodriguez back. I think that's the big name that I'm waiting to see back because I think he just carries a little bit of attitude and edge. And, yeah, like Anthony Santander's walk-off yesterday was awesome. but I think they want to see that on the mound. I think they need to see that on the mound. It looks a little sketchy right now. I don't see the same confidence that I saw earlier in the year.
Would you, Spilly, at this point in time, with it impossible to ramp up Grayson to be a 6 or 7 inning starter, would you still use him as a starting pitcher at this late juncture, or would you consider him as a guy to put in behind a Dean Kramer or a Suarez if they run into trouble, that you got a 3 or 4 inning guy?
That's the question where, I mean, you got to sit with Grayson. You got to sit with the training staff. You really have to. I mean, what I would like for him to do is be that high leverage, that bridge between starter and the back end of the bullpen. I'd like him to be able to come in the 5th inning, and you're like, oh yeah, here comes Grayson, and maybe he eats up inning 6, 7, 8, and then he passes the baton, and like that's where it starts. So
okay.
I'd like to. I think regardless, he doesn't have to do anything more than just pitch. That's his thing. Just pitch, throw your pitch count, and get your outs.
He is Ryan Spilborghs. He'll be on the call tonight for Apple TV Plus of Orioles-Tigers. Ryan, you bring up the rookies, and certainly that's a factor. I think what's been concerning here in Baltimore is how to make sense of what's happened to Adley Rutschman this season.
Who?
Yeah, I remember him. And that's the part that there's theories. People think that maybe he had an injury that he tried to play through, or that maybe we're seeing that he simply can't handle catching this much and also continuing to be the same type of hitter. But what do you make of a guy who got off to a fantastic start to the season, but has been, almost lost offensively in the second half of the year?
I'm guessing he's hurt. I mean, he's such a rare talent. I mean, you have a one-of-one catcher, I thought, and I still believe he has a chance to be a Buster Posey type receiver with the skill set and the leadership. I think he's hurt. I really do. I mean, you don't usually see drop-offs this bad from a good player unless there's something else going on, and usually it's off the field or an injury. So I'm sure there's more to it. I don't want to just discredit him and say, oh my God, he's just not capable of handling it. I don't believe that because he's done it in the past. The other thing too is his swing right-handed is much better than his left-handed swing, and I know he's missed out a lot of the bats because of James McCann. So McCann's gotten his right-handed bats, and James has been great. I actually, believe this or not, I was in college at UC Santa Barbara, and during the summers, I'd coach to make some money, and James McCann is from Santa Barbara area. I coached him.
That's cool. That's cool.
I coached him as a little 12-year-old.
Taught him all the toughness he has. Is that where he got it from?
With a broken nose?
No. He got his toughness from Arkansas. He got his toughness once he left Santa Barbara. But I think that's one of the issues too. Is in the case of Adley's hitting better from the right side, but never got the right-handed at bats to kind of, even him up. So that kind of tells me, I think it's got to be something with his left arm or something like that, where he's not able to drive through and finish his swing. So I don't know. That's just me from the outside thinking about it and just considering the roster and why it's happening.
Let me ask you a question about Adley from a defensive standpoint. We were led to believe when he was drafted that this was sort of an otherworldly, all things like a Mauer with power was the way we were. They also said that about Matt Wieters.
Yeah.
But I just haven't seen the arm strength as a catcher. I know this year he's had problems with Corbin Burns and Craig Kimbrell not holding runners at all, giving him any chance. But on a routine basis, I don't see arm strength that I want out of my catcher. Your thoughts?
I that's a little bit above my pay grade because I haven't watched them that much closely. But I mean, like, stolen bases are always off the pitcher, not off the catcher.
Yep.
But I mean, there's a couple guys that have cannons for arms and they can't throw anybody out because their pitchers give them no time. Like, you want, ideally, if we were talking like actual numbers for times, that's like 1-3. So that's when a pitcher lifts his leg to when the catcher receives it. 1-3 is right around the time where a base runner has to make a decision like, man, is 1-3, am I fast enough to get down to second base? Especially if the catcher has a 2 or sub-2 pop time. So that's from the time that he catches it to the ball gets a second. So it's a little bit less than 4 seconds. A little less than 4 seconds is the calculus for receivers. So anytime a pitcher is like a 1-5, then there's no chance. There's no way for anybody to ever get any throwouts. So, a lot of it has to do with the pitchers and their times.
Yep.
Yeah, Ryan, one of the things that Stan and I have talked about a little bit today and pretty much every time we've been together is that for as bad as things may be for the Orioles, that it still seems like things are fairly wide open once you get in, which doesn't guarantee that the Orioles find the success. But is it as open as we think it is? Is it as open as perhaps teams' second-half records, particularly in the American League, would suggest it is? Or are we seeing more separation? Like, should we be accepting, hey, the Yankees are proving they're definitively the team to beat in the American League? Like, how open really is it for the teams that do get in?
Well, I don't think the Yankees are the favorite for the American League. It's the Astros. Mm-hmm. Until anybody figures out the Astros, it's the Astros. I just saw New York a week ago. They look really good. They're getting really strong and healthy, and their bullpen's looking pretty solid, even though they've had some closer missteps. The rest of the league, I like Cleveland because their bullpen is like shut down. They're only playing a 5-inning game. And then I do have a problem with the American League Central. I mean, the fact that whether it's the Tigers or the Royals, I mean, those teams went 12-1 against the White Sox. And so it's like, I want to buy in. I want to say that there's a lot more parity, but I also think you have a historically, and I joke around when I say it, the White Sox were historically repulsive. Right. They were awful. They were terrible. And it's kind of skewed this year's postseason picture because of the records against them. So I don't know if those Central teams are really as good as I want them to be. So I think it's open. I do think it's open in a way that should make this postseason really fun.
It's fair. I certainly, I've seen all the warts of the Yankees as well. They have two really good hitters, right? Like they have 2 guys that anybody in baseball would want, and then there's everybody else. We were also just discussing this in the last segment, Ryan. Obviously, what Shohei Ohtani did yesterday, I mean, my God, like it's just one of the most amazing things we've ever seen. And now he's in the 50-50 club, and it's the first player to ever do it. I acknowledge, and we were just talking about this with stolen bases, I'm not trying to discredit it, but I don't know how to react to what a 50-50 season means with the changes to the rules. Still acknowledging nobody else is doing it. I still know it's great, but I don't know in historical context how to view it because of the changes to the rules that have made stolen bases easier, which is all a long-winded way of asking, is this the greatest offensive season that we've ever seen in baseball history?
I do think it is, because if you really want to start digging into those comments, like what happened in 1968, what did they do to the mound? So what happened before? What happened before before we were integrated with baseball? Mm-hmm. There's so many questions to ask about truly like how fair was the game back then? How fair is the game now? How do I take things into context when, you're facing more pitchers now with higher velocity and more secondary pitches ever than in the history of the game. And then stealing bases is an art. It's an art. It's not something you don't just see fast guys stealing second because you see it all the time. So I think what we're watching with Ohtani, and he could have done this years ago, guys. Like the thing is like he hasn't found a new gear with the Dodgers. He just wasn't pitching. He could have done this years ago. He is truly like a remarkable player. He could have done this without the rule changes. So I think when we're watching Ohtani, and by the way, there is no club when nobody else can get into the club. I've said that numerous times. It's a sanctuary. Right. It's Ohtani's personal sanctuary. Nobody else can get there. They're invited, but they can't get there. So he's amazing.
Ryan, some of the times it's ridiculous to have these arguments, but we brought up Barry Bonds' season, not the 73 homer season, season
the
a couple
2004 when he got an 609 on base percentage.
230 walks, 45 homers, and a 609 on base percentage, and only struck out 41 times.
Yeah. Barry Bonds, I've said this over and over and over again, Barry Bonds is the best hitter I've ever laid eyes on.
Yeah.
I think his story's unfortunate. It's really an unfortunate story. I hate it. Honestly, I hate the story because that was my favorite player in the early 90s, even when he was with the Pirates, and he should never have done what he did because he would have been an all-timer. He was so special, and I feel so bad because we can't recognize him the way that we should.
Ryan, obviously tonight the Orioles open up another series against the Tigers. They just saw him for the first time last weekend, lost 2 out of 3 to him. How have the Tigers done this? Like, how has this happened that they have thrown themselves right back into this?
I think part of it is just belief in each other. AJ Hinch uses the entire lineup and roster every single day. So these guys are just coming to the field like, we're going to win, and we don't know how, and we're going to use everybody. And I think they also lost, an anchor, which was Javi Baez. I think they just kind of freed up the clubhouse, and they're just playing as a group. It's kind of refreshing.
And you will see it, of course, tonight on Apple TV Plus as the series gets underway. Always hear him on Loud Outs afternoons on MLB Network Radio, and follow him on Twitter at SpillyGoat19. Ryan Spilborghs, always appreciate you. Enjoy your stay in Baltimore. Thank you, my friend.
Come say hi to me at the field today, boys.
I'm going to stop up. Thanks,
Ryan. Ryan Spilborghs with us here on GCR. Don't forget that with Sunday being game day, that means the return of Project Game Day. Immediately following Baltimore-Dallas, come hang out with us, PressBoxOnline.com/game day. Myself, Rita, Femi, KZ will be there, Stetka, the whole crew, hanging out all season long with you. The best place to react to everything that happened, try to find some intelligent conversation, and not just fire everyone after every game. Although Ken's there too, so yeah. I mean, well, at some point, that by the way, if it continues, we'll get there. There's no doubt about that. But not the intelligent conversation to be having after game 2.
That's why I'm not part of that show.
Because that's all you would have.
Yeah,
just fire everybody.
Yeah.
Fire.
Not everybody. Not everybody.
It's week 2. It's week 2. We'll do that
10
again.
years, 10 years,
oh my.
11 years,
oh my.
1 playoff victory.
Oh my.
Okay.
Well, that's not true, actually.
2 playoff victories.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Let's be.
Forgot they won last year.
Let's be fair. Anyway, yes, come hang out with us. PressBoxOnline.com/game day. It is all brought to you by the Maryland 5-star Easy Pass and HelpMyGamblingProblem.org. Stan, if you would, right now, I would like you to punch in this URL into your.
I'm punching it in.
I'm going to regret it. I want you to punch in the URL dailywalkoff.com. DAILYWWALKOFF. Dailywalkoff.com.
I like today's theme.
Okay, Daily Walk-Off.
Not bad.
How well do you know your favorite baseball team?
So, do me a favor. Don't pick the Baltimore Orioles.
Okay.
We'll get there, right? Go some.
How about Tampa?
Tampa. All right.
Should we all pick Tampa, or should we all pick different
let's
teams?
all pick Tampa.
Okay.
I'm not going to do well. I'm going
to do great here.
All right, wait a minute. Let's pick a team. You want to pick the
Tigers?
Tigers?
It's fine. Let's do the Rays.
Okay,
it's fine.
The
It's
Rays.
fine. The Rays.
They're all the way down at the T's, though. Okay.
All right. Got it. Now.
Got it.
What you see in front of you is a grid.
Oh, God.
It has a bunch of names on it.
Yeah.
It also, you see 4 categories. The first category, 2021, 5+ ERA and 5 or more games. Next category, 2022, top 5 most grounded into double plays. Next category, 2019, a sub-230 average in 100 or more at-bats. And the fourth category, 2017, top 5 most errors.
Now, is the whole grid consist of these 12 names?
These 12 names will fit into these 4 categories.
Okay.
What you do is you click on one name,
right,
and then you move it to the category that you believe it belongs in.
Okay.
So switch it with someone, essentially.
Can I keep it where it is?
You can keep it where it is if you'd like to keep it where it is.
Okay, gotcha.
But you got to keep switching and moving until you believe you have the
You've got
12,
the
and then you hit that button, swing,
Top 5.
and see how you did.
I'm sorry, 2017 top 5 most
Errors. Yes, errors committed. Correct.
Okay.
Would be the answer. Yeah, I'm struggling.
Yeah, this is tough.
The only thing you can start with is there's only one pitching category.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
when I click
say
on,
that.
when I click on it, I bring it over to the
Oh, yeah, you're right.
How do you move it?
You just
Oh,
you
I
got
see,
to click
I
on
see.
something
Okay,
else and
gotcha.
switch the two. You got to switch them.
All right.
Is how you do it.
Who would make?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm already confused.
Why are you confused?
Hold on. Because I wanted Brad Miller to stay in the
Okay.
error
Well, then
category.
you got to switch him back with somebody else.
Okay.
To move him back there. You don't.
Okay,
You don't
gotcha.
swing until you think you've got it. Right. That's the way that it works.
All right.
Mm-hmm. So let me know how things are going, because I will tell you that I already swung once and it did not go well for me.
All right, I think.
But I'm confused. I'm supposed to get like the ERA of 5+. I got to get all 3 pitchers.
You got to get
in
three
order.
pitch, not in order.
No, yeah, not
just
in order.
Any of those 3
Oh, okay,
names
okay,
that you believe had a 5 or higher ERA in
Okay.
5 or more games in 2021. So,
How does it? I don't understand how I fit.
by the way, I
want me to come
confused.
over there, or-
I truly confused Daniel Robertson for David Robertson when I
Yeah.
swung the first time, which was part of my problem.
But I've got four pitchers and 3 offensive categories.
So you've got to figure out
one of them most likely.
Oh,
One
wait a
of
minute. Is
them.
Heredia's
Yeah,
not
it's
a
the
pitcher.
other Heredia.
Okay,
Yeah,
hold on.
correct. Not
I'm just
not
gonna swing.
Gil.
I'm gonna swing and
Guillermo.
see how bad I do
hold
here.
on. Okay.
Ooh, all right, I got the first category right.
Okay.
First column right.
Most errors.
Yeah.
Yeah. That one, by the way, I filled the
wow.
quickest.
Wow.
It took me. I got one out. I got there with a walk-off double.
All right. Now, what do I do? Swing?
When you think you've got it,
I think I got it.
hit that button, swing.
Hold on 1 second. I just want to
Okay.
check Taylor
Yeah.
Walls.
Uh-huh.
I just find it.
All right, swing.
Yep. And it'll tell you how you did.
All right. So
How'd you do?
didn't-
I got a full check mark for the pitchers.
Okay. Yep, that makes sense. You
Then
named
I
the 3
got
pitchers.
0 for the
Grounded
5
into double plays.
That's a 0.
None of those are correct that you have in the
so
category.
I got the pitchers correct. I
Yes.
had all the other 9 players wrong.
Okay, so then you got to move them back around
How
until
many
you,
opportunities? You get 3 outs?
you get 3 outs.
So
yes,
it gave
correct.
me a single. It's down at the bottom. So
Yeah.
it has
Yeah,
like
it gives you a base hit because you filled the one
Okay,
category.
so
yes.
all right.
Yeah. This is difficult for the race. It's very difficult for the race. I got it
hold
again.
on. I think
See,
I
I
got
just.
one.
I guess I don't want to spoil it yet.
How'd
but
you do?
I'm about to get on my 3rd try.
Your 3rd try?
Yeah.
So is that a walk-off double too?
That'll be because I have 2 categories left, so a double. I think walk off double.
Yeah. So I also got a walk-off double.
I was struggling because I was like, there's no way Taylor Walls and Rosarena grounded that many double plays. I guess is it team? So I guess just the team top 5 team double plays.
Yeah, I don't think it's top
Oh,
5
okay.
league
All right,
double
then I guess
plays.
that makes sense. I guess that's fair.
Yeah.
They played a lot.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Plays, hold on.
Oh, you just kind of gave it away to him, by the way.
Oh, sorry.
Way to
I
go.
wasn't listening.
Yeah, we
good,
got lucky
good.
on
We're-
this one.
I wasn't listening.
Because then we'll try to do the Orioles one together
All
and
right.
see how
Now-
we do.
now-
so we're not,
now I'm gonna
not going
swing
there yet.
again,
You're going to
okay?
swing again? All
Yeah.
right.
Let's do the Rockies.
Why? This is the problem. Is that I'm going to end up losing Griffin for
I
the
don't
rest of the-
understand. So I got one. I got 1 on each of them. So I got 1 correct.
And that one, it lights up, so you know not to move it now. You know which one is correct.
Gotcha,
So now you know don't move that guy. Move the other guys.
Oh, I'll tell you. Here we go. There we go.
This could be because Stan might do every team. It's possible.
Well, he should.
Yeah, it's possible that we'll end up having Stan try every team on daily walk-off.
I'm going to swing again.
All right.
But I know this can't be fully. No, wait a minute. I've had him. Hold on. I've had him in there each time.
So yeah, you know you got to move. Anybody who wasn't lit up can't still be in the category.
All right. I'm swinging.
All right.
Swinging again.
Darn it. They didn't do good on the Rockies. I had four.
Wow,
I had four
now
open.
I've got one right in the grounded in the double plays.
Okay.
And that was already lit up. I've got two right in the under 230 batting average.
Okay.
So, in 2019, I'll bet
walk-off
I'll
triple.
bet it's-
Right, he wasn't on
I'll
this.
bet it's. Hold on.
Yeah, so like this, for example, you know that Evan Longoria wasn't a Ray in 2022. So he,
Okay, I didn't pay attention there.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, he couldn't
Now,
be in
Let
that.
me try this again. But no, that's not right either.
So many other teams I can get in before Stan.
Let me try this again. I know this is my last shot.
Forget Nick Castellanos being a
out.
Tiger.
That was the answer. So you get the idea.
Yeah.
You get the idea.
It's called the Daily
Daily Walk-Off. So
How did you find this?
I don't remember. Griffin, I have no idea. Somebody pointed it to me at some point. So let's do it.
We're doing the Orioles?
Click on the Baltimore Orioles. Again, the categories will remain the same for each team.
Okay.
So
Should
ready?
we be sharing this more so that people know what's going on? Or
Yeah, I guess probably. All right, here we go.
So
the names we have: Trey Mancini, Adam Plutko, Jorge Mateo, Chris Davis, Austin Hayes, Richie Martin, Adam Jones, Manny Machado, Ryan Mountcastle, Chance Sisco, Travis Lakins, and Alex Wells. So again, I think the first place that you start is by
remember
you identify who the pitchers are, and there are only
Yeah.
3 pitchers, so you
that's
can
pretty
identify
easy.
that pretty quickly.
That's
Chris Davis.
Plutko,
So.
Yeah.
Plutko.
Yeah,
and
Plutko.
Alex Wells,
Yep.
right?
Definitely a pitcher. And
Hold on.
yep,
And who's the third pitcher?
Travis Lakins.
Lakins is
Yeah,
a pitcher?
Lakins
I
was a
can't even
pitcher.
remember.
Yeah, I don't blame you for that.
Okay.
Then I think
So
the
I got
next
pitchers.
Sub 210.
the next
batting
one to me is remembering who was on the team still in 2022.
Okay.
I think
Chris
that's the
Davis
next
wasn't he?
in 22. That was
No, he was not.
No, he was gone.
Yeah,
Okay,
he's definitely
so
in the
he's-
sub 210 now. Again.
Yeah, that would seem like a safe bet. So yeah, remembering who was on the
Adam
team in
Jones
2022.
wasn't on
No.
the team in
So I would
22.
say Ryan Mountcastle, Austin Hayes, and Jorge Mateo would be pretty safe bets to be the 3 that were in the 2022 category.
Jorge Mateo 5 double plays?
Top 5 on the team, grounded
Right.
at most.
I don't think he
But
grounded it.
who else was on the team in 2022?
Yeah, none of
that
these
could
other
fit
guys
that?
were.
Yeah.
So it has to be.
So wait a minute. So it's Richie Martin is not it. All right, he's over here. Mountcastle is one of them. Austin Hayes is one of them.
Right.
And it's got to be, hold on. I'm going to say Chance Sisco.
Was Chance Sisco
No, he
still on the
wasn't,
team in
no, he
2022?
wasn't. No, he wasn't.
I don't think
Right,
he was.
okay, okay,
Yeah, I don't
okay.
think he was.
So, and Chris Davis wasn't.
Yeah. Yeah, you see it? It gets
Trey
difficult.
Mancini, was he on the team in
Not in 20 he was still on the team in
I'm gonna
2022.
guess he hit into more double plays.
Yeah, but
but nobody else fits the 2017 category. So
Hold on. Trey Mancini, Chris Davis. Okay, top 5 errors. That's got to be Richie Martin has got to be in there.
you would think, but he wasn't on the team. Was he? He wasn't
was
on the
he
20. He was,
2017?
no, he was not a 2017.
Chance Sisco, definitely. Was he on the team in 19?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so, yeah, Manny Machado.
And Richie Martin never hit, so I think
Yeah, it's stiff. It would be,
that was
and that's sort of the qualifier, right? Like you don't have to have put together a full season of at bats. It's sort of like when you play the grid. It doesn't have to be someone. You could say he hit 500 for the season or hit 200 for the season. It could be a pitcher who only had 5 at bats that year, but they would still qualify for the 200 for the season.
I'm gonna go swing. I've got right now Lakins, Plutko, and Wells as the pitchers. I've got the 5 double plays: Mancini, Hayes, Mountcastle. I've got the 210 batting average: Davis, Sisco, and Martin. And then I've got the top 5. Nope. Hold on. Hold on. Adam Jones. No, those guys couldn't make top 5. Jeez, whiz. This has got to be.
well.
Yeah, and I wouldn't. You might
they
overthink
played.
it,
They
right?
played every
Yeah,
day.
if they played every day, even if they're good defensive players,
Yeah.
there's still a better chance of them being on.
Adam
Like
Jones,
Gunner's gonna lead the
5
team in errors this
Yeah,
year.
okay. He top 5.
Yeah, on the
most errors
team,
on
right.
the team. Manny Machado in 17. Was he playing only third base then?
17. Yes, he was still only playing third base. It was 18 when he moved to short, right?
All right. I'm gonna.
Wait, no, it was 17 when he moved.
I'm gonna swing on what I have.
Yeah, Manny
here
wasn't shortstop.
now. Okay, let's see what I get.
All right, I know you're wrong about one.
Which one did he get wrong, or which one did I'm swinging? I'm swinging as well. I think I got
hit
it right.
a double.
Yeah,
I got
mine
Mancini
right.
did not. So maybe okay. Now I'm gonna try that and that.
Where'd you have Mancini before?
He had him in the 2022.
I'm going to try it again. I'm going to swing again. I've switched Mateo over to what you said. I think I got it. Walk-off double, it says.
Yep, there you go. So you got it. You got it.
I got it on
your
the
second try. On your second try, you were able to fill it.
Well, it's really tricky to really, you got to remember
who was on the team. And particularly when the years are that close, right? Like 2017, 2019, 2021, 2022.
So let me go over it again. Travis Lakins, Plutko, and Alex Wells
they
all had
fought
5+ ERAs.
in 2021.
Probably every pitcher on the team had.
In 2021, just about. Yep.
The top five most grounded in the double plays were Mateo
in 2022,
Austin Hayes, and Mountcastle in 2022.
Right.
2019, under a 210 batting average, 100+ at bats. Chris Davis, Chance Sisco, Richie Martin, and then the 2017 top five most errors were Jones, Machado, and Mancini.
And that required you to try to figure out who played the most in 2017.
Yeah. And even though Machado was a great fielder,
correct, because he played every
all the
day,
time, he probably made some throwing.
Whereas in comparison, you could know that Richie Martin
right.
didn't play enough that he was going to be a top five errors on the team guy, which helped slide you back over to the other category. It's the same 4 categories for every team.
So every day, though, there's
4 new categories and a new walk-off. So you can do, Griffin will probably do 15 teams today. And then I'll ask him if he's done the things I needed him to do. And he'll be like, I'll get there. I'll get there.
Next week.
I'm working on the Astros right now.
It'd be great to get John Colson to do this one day.
Joe Panic.
On the air.
Giants.
Oh, yeah. You see how that goes. But yes, you can do it for every team in baseball. You
Scott
can
Kazmir.
to see how you would do with their walk-off. DailyWalkoff.com is the website if you want to give it a shot today. But again, if you didn't remember Travis Lakins, that's the difficulty of doing it for another team. Is if you can't remember your own Travis Lakins, try to think if you're going to remember their Travis Lakins.
I look at all the names of the guys
Adam
I don't
Plutko.
know.
Right. Right. You pull up another team and you're like, I don't know who this person is.
How far?
Probably a pitcher
the
with
only
5
2 we
ERA.
tried. How far does it go back on certain days?
Some
does it
days,
go like 1986.
So I've noticed that they kept it more modern-ish, and that feels like it's because of the teams that are newer, but not always. Like this one was all within the last 7 years. They haven't all been within the last 7 years.
Now, does somebody make a lot of money on this?
I have no idea, Stan. No clue where this comes from.
Because I have a great idea, seriously. I mean, I know Ken, what was his name? Our boss. What was his name? Ken Stevens. You used to go into Ken Stevens, our boss at Infinity Broadcasting. You go, Ken, I got a great idea.
Walk-off
And
triple
he'd
for the
say,
Giants.
I've got an idea. You have an idea.
I'll tell you if it's
I'll
great.
tell you if
right,
it's great.
exactly right. Yeah, I'm not.
I have a great idea.
Do you though?
Yeah.
Is it a great idea or is it an idea?
Do you?
You know, I don't want
Do
you.
you?
You don't have to give it away. You don't have to give it away.
I'm not giving it away on the air.
Don't have to
Somebody
give it away
else
like
steal
that.
it.
No, it's exactly right. And then you'll.
You I'd trust.
Right.
As
but
far as
the
I could
rest of
throw
the
you.
Rest of the great unwashed. All right, very good. We come back in. We'll get a tidbit. We will get tubular to wind things down for a Friday edition of Glenn Clark Radio.
The ultimate fan experience awaits you at Sports and Social Maryland. See how we're raising the sports bar with our massive 100-foot media wall featuring 40 HD TVs and a 47-foot big screen. Bet on your favorite teams and this year's biggest events at the FanDuel Sportsbook while enjoying your favorite beers and cocktails, plus our delicious takes on bar food classics. Visit Sports and Social at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland at Arundel Mills. Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Driving in Maryland? Did you know an Easy Pass from DriveEasyMD.com can save you time and money? Of course you did, because you are a thrifty driver. An antenna reads your Easy Pass transponder and automatically deducts the toll from your Easy Pass account. Learn more at DriveEasyMD.com.
PressBox's Project Game Day is the place to be after every game this season. Join Glenn Clark, Rita Hubbard, Super Bowl 35 champion Femi Ayanbadejo, and our cast of regulars as they break down what happened, why it mattered, and what it means moving forward. You can watch the show at PressBoxOnline.com/GameDay or PressBox's Facebook and YouTube pages. Project Game Day is brought to you by the Green Turtle Sportsbook in Towson and Canton, Easy Pass, and HelpMyGamblingProblem.org. So join us for Project Game Day after every game day this football season at PressBoxOnline.com/GameDay.
Treat yourself and taste the Baltimore tradition that is the legendary Costas Inn. Hey, it's Stan the Fan Charles. For over 50 years, the Costas Inn has been a Baltimore original, dishing out their legendary fat, delicious, award-winning crab cakes and steamed crabs. It's crab season, so sit back and crack some crabs while watching the Birds pursue another divisional title on Costas' 15 TVs. On Monday night, the Costas Inn offers their half-pound jumbo lump crab cake with 2 sides for under $30. So head on down to the Costas Inn today at 4100 North Point Boulevard or visit them at costasinn.com.
The votes were all counted, and the results are official. Royal Farms was named #1 for food in the USA Today 10 Best poll, receiving more votes than any other convenience store chain in America. The next time you want to get some good food fast, doesn't it make sense to go to Royal Farms? Voted best in the USA and home of world-famous chicken. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
Brace yourselves for an unparalleled in-person betting experience at the Green Turtle Bet Park Sportsbook and Bars in Canton and Towson. Experience the thrill of live betting with Baltimore's only state-of-the-art Vegas viewing TV experience. Choose between our on-site tellers or the convenience of our self-bet kiosks to place your bets. Gather your betting buddies and head over to the Green Turtle Bet Park Sportsbooks today. Green Turtle Bet Park Sportsbooks in Towson and Canton. The ultimate destination for game day excitement, great food, and live in-person betting. Must be 21. Please play responsibly. Gambling problem? Go to mdgamblinghelp.org.
Coming back in here with Glenn and the other guy, Garrett, whatever his name is. You know who they are.
All right, back in here on GCR. Thanks again to Stan for stopping in and hanging out with us today. He's got to duck out a little bit early, and that's quite all right. Always appreciate seeing Stan the Fan, the Chief Grand Poobah here at PressBox. All right, why don't we go ahead and get a tidbits?
Have you ever thought of taking a cruise to these wonderful destinations with sunny skies and beautiful beaches? Well, wait no longer. We're ready for you to cruise from the Cruise Maryland Terminal.
Have a little phrase that you can go from baggage to margarita in about 15 minutes.
Choose fun with an array of destinations, onboard activities, entertainment, and world-class cuisine.
Contact your travel agent and book your cruise today. Let your adventure begin.
All right, so what you got?
So Shohei Ohtani obviously lost in all of it. He also became the first Dodger to hit 50 home runs in a season, right as he hit,
I guess I didn't realize that. Yeah, I didn't realize that no Dodger had ever hit 50 home runs.
He, right after he hit that home run, that was the 50th home run, he had already become the first player to have, it was 2 home runs, 2 doubles, and 2 stolen bases in a game, I think.
55 home runs, 55 doubles, 55.
Exactly. That's literally Ohtani.
Yeah.
And then obviously he added a 3rd home run to that, so he had already become the first player to do that, and he went 6. I mean, it's just
ridiculous.
It's just ridiculous. He had 17 total bases in the game. There are 3 other players that have had more than 17 total bases in a game. There's only 3 players. There's 3 others that had 17 total bases.
I would assume that it's got to be guys that hit 4 home runs. So Josh Hamilton.
Yep, Josh Hamilton, 18.
Mark Whitten.
Mark Whitten.
Guess he only had 16.
Yeah, he only had 16. Yep.
Mike Cameron.
Nope.
He only had 16.
Yes.
Wow. God, who else hit 4 home runs in a game? Those are the ones that JD Martinez did, right?
Did he? Yeah, he did. But he only had 16. Those were his only 4. Those were that bum's only 4 hits.
Delgado had one, didn't he?
I think he did, but he did not have anything else.
Jesus Christ.
You're doing a good job naming all the 16 total base guys.
Well, it's the 4 home run guys. Did Sean Green do it?
Sean Green is number 1
okay.
on this list. 19 total bases in a game. No one has ever topped that. 19 total bases for Sean Green. He went 6 for 6, 4 home runs, had a double in there.
Was there another 4 home run game?
There was this guy did it in 1954.
1954. 1954. I don't know.
So he had 18 total bases for the Milwaukee at the time, the Milwaukee Braves.
1954.
Joe Adco.
Joe Adco. Yeah.
And then Ohtani had 17. There was 3 other guys that had 17. 1950 for the Brooklyn Dodgers, Gil Hodges.
Okay.
And then Stan calls him the greatest third baseman of all time, 1976.
Mike Schmidt.
Mike Schmidt had 17 total bases in a game. And then for the Cincinnati Reds in 2017.
Oh, Scooter Gennett. Yeah, and he did. It was a 4 home run game, yeah.
It was 17 total bases for Scooter Gennett in that one.
Yeah.
Right. I was also trying to figure out, like what during our discussion of, greatest seasons ever. So I tried to search up I did search up the most total bases in a season plus stolen bases in a season. So right now Ohtani would rank 10th. Where is he? Oh, he's 16th right now, with 428 combined total bases and stolen bases, with still some time to go. Number 1 on the list had 474 total bases and stolen bases in a season. I guess we'll see how many. Maybe we'll do the top 5. Top 5 all had 450 total bases plus stolen bases.
I'll try Ricky Henderson just because of the sheer number of stolen bases.
No, not Ricky Henderson. Did not get it done total bases wise. If we did, he would be number 1 if we did home runs plus stolen bases, just because of the ridiculous.
Absurd.
Yeah.
That's correct.
So you had 10 home runs in 130.
So I guess you still have to prioritize home runs here for the total bases. So how about Acuna?
Acuna's last season, yes. He went, 2023 Acuna is 4th, 456.
I'm trying to figure out where the pendulum
total
swings between home runs and steals on this. Like, that's why Acuna. So Canseco?
Canseco's not on here.
That's a little surprising given he had a 40-40.
He is below the top 25.
Griffey?
No Griffey.
Okay.
3 of these. Okay, I guess the rest of these seasons all happened before 1930.
The rest of them happened before 19. It's just
their
old-timey baseball names.
Big
Babe Ruth?
Big ones though. Yeah, Babe Ruth is number 1.
By the way, how many stolen bases were involved in that?
He had 17 steals.
That's hilarious.
In 1921, to go with 59 home runs and 168 RBI.
Lou Gehrig.
Lou Gehrig's 1927.
Okay.
He had 10 stolen bases.
Tris Speaker.
Not Tris Speaker.
Mel Ott.
Not Mel Ott.
Honus Wagner.
Not Honus.
Ty Cobb.
Ty Cobb is 5th on the list. He had 83 steals in 1911. To go with 367 total bases.
Duke Snyder.
No Duke.
Rocky Calavito.
No Rocky Calavito.
Mel Ott.
You already said him, but no.
I did. Jimmy Fox.
No. Need a 1922 St. Louis Cardinal.
Rogers Hornsby.
17 steals for 400. Number 2 all-time total bases plus stolen bases. So Ohtani is at 428, so he needs... 66 total bases, 66 more total bases and steals to catch Babe Ruth.
I don't think he's going to, but
I don't think so either. Yeah. But he'll climb the list a little bit more.
Nuts, man.
Yes,
nuts.
it is.
All right, very good. Let's do.
I also want to tell you that Tidbit is brought to you by our friends at.
I was going to actually.
Oh, you were?
Yeah. So just when there's a live casino spot scheduled in the final break, I try to separate it. So I want to put it at the end of tubular.
Gotcha.
That's just for the record, for you playing at home, right? Like, there was a live casino spot in that third break that we just played, so I kind of try to separate them a little bit So I understand. I'm not mad.
You're right.
But just trying to give you a sense of what my way.
Well,
of
I was just
thinking.
kidding, actually. So
Now, you can do it if you. And now it's awkward, I would say.
Okay. Well, our friends at Live Casino Hotel have a great deal. This great promo this season. Every time Baltimore's football team or Washington's football team score a touchdown during home games, Live Rewards members will be receiving free $7 in slot play. You have to have your Live Rewards card inserted into the slot machine and be actively playing during the games. But once that touchdown scores, you get your prize, valid for slot play only. Free $7 in slot play at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. At Arundel Mills, must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
This is a good tweet from Braylon Allen. Somebody tweeted at how TF did Braylon Allen drop to the 4th round. He retweeted and said, everyone wanted to see me run in my underwear to decide if I was a good football player. Good tweet. Good tweet. All right, now let's get totally tubular.
Experience the thrill of the Mars Maryland 5-Star at Fair Hill, presented by Brown Advisory, coming October 17th to 20th. See the world's best equestrians compete in the sport of eventing, the ultimate test of horse and rider. Enjoy a weekend festival featuring local food, shopping, and fun for all. Come for the event and stay for the experience in Cecil County, home to the Chesapeake Bay waterfront, vibrant small towns, and family entertainment. Tickets on sale now at maryland5star.us.
Here's what's coming up this weekend, totally tubular-wise. Again, Orioles-Tigers tonight, 7:05 on AppleTV+. We know Corbin Burns. We don't know the other. What does Roster Resource say?
They say the same guy that perfected him last week, Brent Herter. Is that his name? Yeah. So maybe they'll throw an opener. I'm not sure.
Masson tomorrow, 4:05 for Reese Olson, Cade Povich. And Sunday, 1:35, again.
It says Montero.
Okay,
pitched on
Carter
Sunday.
Montero and Albert Suarez would be that one. What else is going on tonight? Big Ten Network for Maryland, Indiana soccer at 7 o'clock. That's it for today. Tomorrow, college football, big one, CBS Sports Network, Memphis Navy, 3:30 down in Annapolis. At noon in College Park, Villanova and Maryland. Towson's at North Dakota State at 2 o'clock. Towson, man, such heartbreak last Saturday. 2 missed field goals in the final couple of minutes. Either one of them would have been the winner, including a reasonable walk-off kick to beat a top-5 Villanova team, but they missed both of them, and they end up losing. So keep that in mind as Villanova comes to Maryland.
Yeah. Time to knock off North Dakota State.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That would be cool if you could do it. Morgan's at home tomorrow night against Virginia University of Lynchburg at 7 o'clock. Neat local rivalry, Salisbury-Johns Hopkins, 2 o'clock tomorrow over at Homewood Field, and Stevenson hosts Delaware Valley tomorrow at 1. Big college football games tomorrow. USC-Michigan, 3:30 on CBS. Tennessee-Oklahoma, 7:30 on ABC. Everything else, go to GlennClarkRadio.com.
Anthony Joshua fights tomorrow.
That's true.
Yes. I don't know.
Okay. Sunday.
I'm trying to get in Saturday stuff.
There's too much local for me to focus on these things. I'm sorry. It's football season, dude. This is the way it works every year. When football season ends, tell me everything there is to know about it.
You're going to forget. So, okay. I'll write it down, and then we'll say 6
Go
months ago,
back
Anthony
and
Joshua.
Exactly right. I want you to write down every significant thing that happened for the last 6 months. Fox on Sunday, obviously, for Ravens-Cowboys at 4:25. The 1 o'clock game on Fox is Eagles-Saints locally. The CBS local game is Chargers-Steelers at 1 o'clock. Of course, Sunday night, Chiefs-Falcons at 8:20. WNBA playoffs get underway on Sunday. New attendance record last night for the Mystics Fever game down in D.C. Anything non-sports-wise that stands out?
Really not a whole lot. Just Netflix, new movie, His Three Daughters. It's Elizabeth Olsen, Tasha Leone, and Carrie Coon. It's out on Netflix. And they all come together to take care of their sick father. And it looks pretty decent.
When is the first SNL, by the way? Because
Next Saturday.
Next Saturday.
Next Saturday, season 50.
They're going heavy on the whites.
You think so? I didn't recognize the first host's name. Who was the first host?
First host's Jean Smart. She's the lead from Hacks.
Oh, okay.
She's a legend. I mean, she's
good for
Jean Smart's awesome, but so they announced 5 episodes.
Yeah, and they're gonna go every week too.
Jean Smart. Well, it's the election.
Yeah,
so they always want to be on leading up to the election. Jean Smart and Jelly Roll for week 1.
Okay, I'll take Jelly Roll.
Sure. Nate Bargatze, who's great, and Coldplay for week 2. So a lot of whites. You do get to Ariana Grande as the host for week 3 with Stevie Nicks as the musical guest, who I love.
She's like doing new stuff, or like
I have no idea. Week 4, Michael Keaton, which is dope. I like that. as the host, Billie Eilish the musical guest. And then week 5, Everybody Loves John Mulaney is the host, and Chappell Roan's the musical guest. So the Whites are back, baby. Like, what a time to be a White.
Mookie Betts will be on Secret Celebrity Renovation tonight on CBS.
I never miss Secret Celebrity Renovation. You think I
Especially
didn't know
with
that?
Mookie. Oh, you do? Okay.
I'm going to see Kings of Leon tonight, actually.
Are you going to miss Mookie Betts?
It's going to be a real problem for me because I think I'm out of free Apple TV Plus signups.
So you might just.
So it might just be watching on game day for me. That just might have to be my option while I'm down at the Kings of Leon.
Hang out with Jeff Arnold and.
Yeah,
have an earbud in while you're listening.
I don't think it's gonna. I don't think that works. I don't think that you can do that. Real problem that.
Well, I can send you a link to You may have to get a new phone afterwards,
but
I can send you.
Yeah,
a link.
It's somebody else suggested one of those to me recently. That I'm not a thief myself.
I don't think anyone is.
Yeah, is that what you think?
Has anyone been locked up for this?
I don't know. I don't know. Dana White's coming after him though.
Yeah, he's been coming out. He's been trying to chase me for quite some time now.
He said they're going to jail. Oh, you don't even give your. How kind of fan are you? You don't even give him your money.
Not every week. Not absolutely not.
All right, that does it. Thanks today to Stan. Thanks to Jeff Diamond.
You know these cards I sit through for him.
Oh, you're the hero.
I am.
Okay. Thanks to Jeff Diamond. Thanks to Ryan Spilborghs. Thanks to Bo Smolka. We'll get all of it up in the greatest hits section of the
Here we go.
tab at GlennClarkRadio.com. The Bat Around tomorrow morning with Paul and Ryan. And then don't forget Project Game Day immediately following the game on Sunday. PressBoxOnline.com/game day. Then we'll be back with you on Monday. Thanks to everybody at PressBox, all of our great sponsors and partners, including Baltimore's Classic 5 Golf Course, the Maryland 5-Star, Live Casino and Hotel, Cruise Maryland, Easy Pass, Royal Farms, Green Turtle Pet Park Sportsbooks in Towson and Canton, Maritime Magic, HelpMyGamblingProblem.org, The Casa Sin, MSAA, AJ Michaels, the Baltimore Orioles, your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. Thanks to Griffin, at Griffin_Bass. Follow us, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, at Glenn Clark Radio. Have a great weekend. Go Birds, go Ravens, go Maryland, Navy, Towson, Morgan, Duke sucks.